POISONRANA.
I listened to every fucking word that you told me 4 years ago. And I'm telling you now, I'm sorry for what happened to him. And I am sorry I took that away from you. But make no mistake about it. If you find yourself in that same position that he did, there isn't going to be a referee stopping me from caving your fucking head in, bruv. You will not belittle me on the grandest stage that I am on. This is my moment now, so you're either going to pass this torch or I am going to fucking take it from you.
I pity him for going off on a fool's errand and trying to convince everybody that he is me. He's not trying to convince people that he is me. He's trying to convince people that he is better than me.
I've been wrestling this whole time in Kenny Omega's shadow, haven't I? As I admit, I am no Kenny Omega.
I must bid you adieu. Goodbye. And good night.
Hello.
Hello.
Braden Herrington here with Davie Portman for POISONRANA. And yes, we are talking today about Ospreay versus Omega, the aerial assassin versus the best bout machine. And as you heard off the top, a passing of the torch moment. We're celebrating Ospreay and Omega at Wembley, the final time, one more time. So here today, we're going to nerd out and talk about the whole story behind these two professional wrestlers.
Yes, we weren't sure what this show was going to be. Was it going to be a best match ever? Was it going to be a profile? I think we've landed on this is going to be more of a profile. So yes, talking about the matches, giving our star ratings and breaking them down move for move, but also talking very much of the story, their legacy, how their careers have intertwined over the years. And I believe this is going to be a two-parter. So once we've finished the Wembley show, seen it live, probably watched it back on TV at home, we are going to do a part two, which will be their story after Forbidden Door. So right now we're talking about the kind of...
After All In, yes.
Sorry, no, we'll be talking about the story from Forbidden Door to All In. But this one is more the New Japan element. So pre-Ospreay being signed by AEW, we'll be talking about their first encounter in PWG, the Tokyo Dome match, and of course, Forbidden Door in Toronto, as well as a lot of interviews, pressers, and Twitter beefs.
Ooh, pro wrestling Twitter beef. Yeah. We don't have too much of that right now in 2026. It's kind of cooled down, I guess, ever since it became X. It's a lot less cool.
Mason Rook and Cam Hendricks, come on.
Yeah, true, yeah. Well, we're going to go through the whole story to get you hyped for Wembley. Ospreay Omega, potentially the last time ever, one-on-one in a match. And yeah, there's tons of history to go through. And in this podcast, we'll talk all about the first encounter, which we've always linked you with all the matches and things we're going to talk about. The PWG match is available probably on DVD somewhere, but someone has uploaded it to YouTube, and it's kind of a hidden gem, but it's around online if you want to find it. Plus, of course, all the New Japan World stuff. My AEW makes AEW a bit more accessible for some people, or some people with VPNs. But also, AEW has uploaded a ton of stuff on their YouTube, as well as the Forbidden Door match from 2023 that we're going to talk about. So lots of the stuff is available everywhere.
Yeah, all the links are on the feedback, and got to give a shout out to our friend Billy who, because not all the Dynamite episodes have been uploaded to MyEW quite yet. And
Right.
our good Asian friend Billy has
That website?
all the episodes there. So yes, so good they named him twice. Yes, so that's been very helpful for this show. We are in this weird place where we had it so good a few years ago. We'd be doing our like WWE shows or old ECW, WCW shows. They're just there. And now they're gone. And it's same with now Fight Network's gone. We can't go back on Triller and find some of these old episodes. So until my AW has everything migrated over, you've got to look, you've got to motion daily and search for your friend Billy.
That's right. Yeah. If there's a will, there's a way. Really, if there's a will, there's an Ospreay. Yeah. The better the wrestling match, the easier it is to find. If a match is a banger and like, people are talking about it, there's going to be illegal uploads of it and taken down and brought back up. So that's a good key.
And then you've got something like New Japan World, which has all the New Japan matches that we wanted to talk about on this show there. But it's such a bitch to find. You type in the exact match and it's like, do you mean this match with Taguchi? No, I don't mean this match with Taguchi. I mean the 4 fucking wrestlers I wrote in the search bar. Oh no, we don't have that. And you've got to
no Taguchi slander, okay?
Really search to find the match. But we've done all the hard work for you. So it is all there. And we do encourage you to watch along because there's some really good stuff there. Some of the stuff I haven't seen before, and certainly some of the actual interviews and the press conferences were very interesting, revisiting, just kind of seeing where we are now in 2026 and where the story's going with their careers. Some really good stuff there.
Yeah, honestly, the reason we're doing this, we're leaving for London in a few weeks. We're going to go to All In Wembley, and we're going to have a great time looking forward to this match. But we had a ton of friends visit us for Forbidden Door, the Forbidden Pour in 2023 here in Toronto, and we were all at this match that also we're going to talk about. So I know it's only been 3 years and some change or whatever, so it's still kind of recent, but it's always fun to go back and revisit. But then the PWG match I've never watched before, and then the New Japan match, which again, highly rated matches and 2 of the best going, the 2 of the best in our generation, easily pro wrestlers, and both similar career paths. So it does make for an interesting story going into All In. And that's kind of why we wanted to go back and look at this whole story. We have done in former podcasts, the Okada Omega rivalry. We went through all those matches. We've done tons of Kenny showing up in Best Match Ever podcast for I don't know how many years we've been doing our podcast. Yearly, we do a Best Match Ever of the year. And these 2 are neck and neck in the top matches of the year going for the last 7+, 8+ years. So yeah, we cover these guys constantly in the last years of doing podcasts. So kind of putting it all together as a story didn't even feel like homework. It just felt like I'd been waiting to watch these matches to get myself psyched up for Wembley. And here we are talking about 1 Canadian and 1 Brit. And well, here you got a Canadian and a Brit to talk about. A Canadian and a Brit/Canadian here to talk about it now in podcast form. So hope we nerd out just enough for you out there, and appreciate you giving us some time here today for us to do so, because I'm very excited to talk about this.
Absolutely. I'm excited about this one. You can definitely see the parallels in both their careers. Kenny Omega started his professional wrestling career in the year 2000 at the age of 16. And we all know, obviously, made his name for himself in Japan. Will Ospreay started his career in 2012, just before his 19th birthday. So a little older than Omega, but had, whereas Omega's background was he was apparently a very good hockey player. Mm-hmm. Will was a very good gymnast, which you can see with a lot of his work. And also kind of making his name, not in the States, but in the UK, in Europe, and then moving to Japan and really solidifying himself as a top guy, as a main eventer in Japan. Both guys leading heel gaijin stables in New Japan Pro Wrestling, and both always neck and neck and in the conversation of best in the world. And we are going to go just 3 years into a young Will Ospreay's career
Wow.
for our first match on this show. And it's PWG All-Star Weekend from December 12th, 2015 at the American Legion Post, RIP, in Reseda, California.
Ah, Reseda. You know, it's got this lore in the world of pro wrestling, especially indie pro wrestling, of PWG weekends, and you have to either be there live or wait for the DVD months later, even when DVDs were already not a thing in the 2010s, 2000s, really, like, depending. So the only way to watch it was be there in such a small little bingo hall or whatever it is, or like I said, wait, or maybe wait years later till someone just uploads it for free on Dailymotion or YouTube, and that's how we're watching it today. But it was a cool time. I knew this is when I was into indie wrestling. 2015, I was going to a lot of Ring of Honor crossover shows, indie shows here in Toronto, Smash Wrestling, etc. So I was all about it, and I knew friends that would make the trip on certain PWG weekends from Toronto to go fly up and go to some of these shows. Like, there are dedicated fans. So I'm assuming most of them migrated over to AEW years later, considering half the people running PWG work in AEW right now. But what a cool time to see. And you said Ospreay's 3 years into wrestling?
3 years into
and
wrestling.
I think Kenny Omega should be like, okay, around this time, sure, he's got some lore and some luster in 2015. But think, Okada match hadn't happened yet. I feel like that, the G1 with Naito and then going into Wrestle Kingdom with Okada, dare I say, changed wrestling. Like, that match became the first one of like a viral, like, you got to go seek out this to go watch it and see it to believe it, of like, is this, one of the best matches ever. So this is even before that. So Kenny is popular, don't get me wrong, but I feel like that best in the world kind of thing hasn't fully kicked in yet. And you mentioned, like, he could have been in WWE. He left to go do his own thing. So it is interesting kind of watching a young Will Ospreay, who's literally like in his early 20s here, if that, but a young Kenny before, all the hype, I would say, that really gets behind him. So this is an interesting matchup.
So he's like, just from judging his gear here, he's moved up to heavyweight at this point, hasn't he?
I guess so, because he's wearing, like, Young Bucks gear, because I'm sure he wrestled other matches with them. We have reviewed in the past Kenny versus Speedball from a PWG, and he's wearing the same gear, if I'm not mistaken. So maybe it's a similar weekend, I'm not sure. But yeah, he's wearing PWG gear, which means he's, kind of goofing around a bit more.
We're a couple of years away from the Okada feud, which I think was 2017. They were doing that. So yeah, you're right. We're not quite at the, like, best bout machine Kenny Omega at this point. 2015, I mean, this would have been around the time, because I started going to Progress Wrestling after my first WrestleMania, which was 2014. So this was very much sort of during the time of Ospreay's chase for the Progress Championship, his rivalry with Redacted, Jimmy Havoc. And so, yeah, like, British wrestling really taken off. You had your, a lot of names that we don't really talk much about anymore. Your Skulls, your Havocs, but you had your Zack Sabre Juniors and your Will Ospreays, who are really making a name for themselves on the UK scene. But, and I think people were starting to pay attention. Like, the buzz was definitely, like, making its way over to the US about what's going on in the UK. But this being a really big opportunity for Will Ospreay, who has a lot of potential, but he's still a pretty skinny kid at this point. And is it Excalibur and Chuck Taylor on commentary who are just making fun, saying like, "Oh, Kenny's wrestling children again," and that kind of thing with this match.
He is very, very tiny. Like, he is completely bulked up. I mean, Kenny has too over the years, right? Yeah. I guess it's that New Japan diet, right? Must be.
Yes.
I love seeing the two of them here, because it's Kenny at this point I had seen on the Ring of Honor loops, and I was familiar with him, of course, watching. I wouldn't say I knew Will Ospreay in 2015, but it must have been, again, starting to see him integrated on New Japan is when I probably was the first to see him, unless it was Pollock sending me links to like some indie stuff being like, hey, this kid's pretty good, because I know that he would send me that. But it was definitely the Ring of Honor stuff. Because when did you see Ospreay and AJ wrestle each other? Because you said you saw that match live.
Ospreay, AJ, York Hall. I mean, it was before I moved here, so probably this year.
It's probably around this time.
Yeah, I'd imagine was 2015. I moved over here in so it was February 2015. So it was actually before this match.
It was before this match. Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. In the same year, he wrestled AJ Styles and Kenny Omega. And years later, almost 10, 11 years later, he'll wrestle one of those guys at Wembley Stadium.
Crazy.
Crazy.
Well, let's get into the match. We start with a wrist lock exchange with Will just showing his acrobatics, being able to... It's not the conventional flipping out of the wrist lock. It's very flippy here.
Yeah.
Omega then does a kip up and pokes Will in the eye to break the hold. And then, so Ospreay's selling his eye. Omega goes for Hadouken, but Ospreay cowers away. And Omega's like, no, I'm not doing it. Offers his hand for a handshake. But Ospreay is still pissed about the eye poke. Goes for the handshake. Does the British flipping off. The 2 fingers and then 2 fingers in the eyes, getting his own back. Omega goes for the Kotaro Crusher, but Ospreay handsprings out of it. Then does just an unnecessary backflip to show off. Kenny charges at Ospreay. Ospreay cartwheels out the way on the ropes to dodge. Kind of like we see, when Sol Ruka does that rainbow DDT. It was like that, how Ospreay was dodging out the way here. Omega then falls to the floor. We get a big lariat from Omega, and then he goes back in, sets up, and hits the Terminator dive. And now Omega is just bullying the young boy, Ospreay. He's raking his eyes against the ropes. He's doing the nipple cripple. He's doing all his silly stuff here. He's playing the bongos on Ospreay's chest.
The Tokyo Chainsaw Massacre?
Yes. So he
remember this bit?
Yeah.
He would say he would shave his arm down like the night or 2 nights before, knowing when he had the match booked, so that the stubble is just sharp enough that he then would grind it in your face.
But not only that, he starts like cranking it up, like pulling the chain of the imaginary chainsaw, and goes to rub it, goes to saw Ospreay in half, but Ospreay grabs the forearm and threatens to cut his dick off and shoves his razor blade arm right into the nuts of the Best Bout machine. And Omega does his very goofy overacting from this.
He's overselling this like spiky forearm into his own dick, but yeah.
We get a springboard drop kick from Ospreay, and then a springboard twisting moonsault, almost like his Sky Twister press.
Crazy
springboard to the floor. Ospreay then hits a top rope DDT, like he's Scotty 2 Hotty against Dean Malenko at Backlash, and then a crazy standing twisting 450 splash. Kenny comes back with a Northern Lights bomb and keeps trying for the Snapdragon, but Ospreay's blocking it. And then Omega just delivers these big slaps to back and forearms, and then catches with this cradle driver for a 2 count. Omega then stops Ospreay by just putting his hand out, stop, and hits the step up Enziguri, followed by the Snapdragon for a 2. And then Omega climbs the top, but Ospreay leaps up after him with a Hurricane Rana, followed immediately by the Robinson Special for a near fall.
Crazy.
Ospreay then climbs and hits a second rope Phoenix Splash. Omega moves out the way. Ospreay rolls through, but is hit with Hadouken by Kenny, just turning Ospreay inside out. We get a one-winged angel attempt, but Ospreay flips out of it, but gets caught right into Kreut's Wrath, which Ospreay flips out of that and then hits a handspring elbow. But as he's coming back with the elbow, gets caught with a Doctor Bomb, followed by a V-trigger, goes to the one-winged angel again, but Ospreay blocks it and hits a one-man Spanish Fly for a 2 count. The Os Cutter, which at this point was Ospreay's finish. 1, 2, kick out, and then a corkscrew shooting star like Pac's red arrow, but Kenny gets the knees up, rolls Ospreay up for a 2 count, and then V triggers him immediately, followed by the one-winged angel, and Omega puts Ospreay away 1, 2, 3 in 16 minutes and 20 seconds.
Absolutely nuts. Like, imagine being there and all these years later, like, these two become huge stars in wrestling. And like we said, go on to have some of the best matches that people talk about and rewatch, and they're going to wrestle in a stadium. But you watch them in this dingy little, how many people were at, look how many people were at this, like 100, 200, if that. And you got to see these guys go balls to the wall. You know, Kenny was mostly playing bass for bass god for Ospreay here. It was pretty much like, hey, you're the new up and coming band. Well, here's your guest spot. Go play your hits and let this audience like go crazy and enjoy what you got to offer and see what you can do. And Ospreay just did all the crazy stuff. Some of the stuff I've never seen him do. That jumping, like, springboard acai sky twister thing. Like, what even the hell was that? I know you hate when Kenny, like old school Kenny used to do the Hadouken so much, but when he does it when the guy's like running at you and hits it like it's a smack to the face where Ospreay like spun inside out, it makes it like a serious move, and I love it. Yeah, I can't believe I've never watched this match before, but it blew my mind. It's like watching two guys, yes, in any art form, music, acting, whatever, seeing such a like fun performance in front of I don't know how many people, a sleeper hit, and then years later these guys go and fill like bigger arenas and stadiums and whatnot. So I had so much fun watching this. The one thing, it's indie-rific because you're getting the goofiness, and you know Ospreay isn't quite there yet with his probably his homemade gear and all that stuff, but I loved it. So I wouldn't necessarily say like, oh my God, like all-time 5-star classic, but I'd say this is a must-watch for anyone who's especially interested in the storyline and the match coming up with Wembley, because I had so much fun watching this.
Yeah. I tend not to enjoy watching indie wrestling at home on the TV because of, I think, a lot of the stuff that really gets over. Like, if I'm going to an indie show, I kind of want a bit of a spot fest, a bit of goofiness.
Yeah.
I'm not, like if I get an incredible match with psychology, cool, but it's kind of lost at an indie show, really. So, like, these kind of matches are very pleasing and very PWG friendly. But I think this match, it's really interesting to see because you see how both progress. Like, I don't particularly enjoy the goofiness from Kenny. Like, I just prefer him as a serious wrestler. But he can't help himself. And Ospreay, I think people, like bad faith people, use criticisms today of Ospreay that are just not accurate. You know, no selling, no psychology, and all that, and
flippy shit. You know, yeah.
You kind of see that in this match, but
flippy
you're
bellend.
also seeing, but you're also seeing stuff that I don't know how the human body does it. You know, some of these rotations and twists and stuff he can achieve, like even like standing, he does like a standing corkscrew 450, and I'm like, how do you even do that? So I think it's really like a real fun match if you got to see this live, and it is fun to go back and watch, but you really see how both have leveled up over the years. So it's a nice starting point, I think.
It's a great, like, wow, look at where they were right here and where they go. And yeah, they completely hone in on their craft and get better. I'd say Ospreay is completely different. I'd say Kenny is completely different 10 years later, right? Like even 5 years later, they're kind of completely different, but like totally step up. And yeah, just imagine being at this one. Like, oh, wow. I'd say this would have been one of the best indie performances we've seen. Again, I remember watching that. We really loved the Speedball one. And I think he actually gets the toy chainsaw involved in that match. Kenny does, which is even more crazier. But wow, amazing match here. Reseda, home of the Karate Kid, right? Or is that Hill Valley? I forget. Same neighborhood, right?
I think it is. Yeah.
Somewhere around, yeah. Really enjoyed this. I don't know. Again, I'd say 4.75 as I'd say for this one, because like there's some crazy shit, but I wouldn't necessarily be like, oh my god, be all end all. Like, but as part of this is the forgotten match of this. We're going into trilogy, I guess, but I'd still say you got to watch it.
Yeah, I wouldn't go as high as that on it. I'm probably around a 4.25.
Fair.
Like super fun match, but it doesn't, like, it's impressive, but doesn't hit the kind of, you know, psychology level or emotional level that like higher rated matches for me would get.
Will we get the Tokyo Chainsaw Massacre or the eye poke in the Wembley match? Or the Hadouken?
Yeah.
Bring
We
it
should
back.
get the eye poke. That would be nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we then move on, and you know, Ospreay is killing it on the UK scene. He's like feuding, has big progress matches, big Rev Pro matches. He's making a bit of a name for himself. I remember seeing him in, I think it was around, it must have been around February 2016, before moving here, in an OTT show in Dublin against Pete Dunne and Ryan Smile, who is referenced in the press interview later. Ryan Smile being Will's best friend, was the former partner of Alex Windsor, who unfortunately took his life a couple of years later. But they had an incredible three-way match I saw at OTT. And after the show, Ospreay announces that he's going to be stepping away and alludes to 999. So a lot of people were thinking, oh, you're going to WWE, the network? And he's like, nah, there's another company, which is 999 yen, as he announces. He's moving to Japan. He's going to New Japan to join the junior heavyweight division. So he joins New Japan in 2016. He, you know, wins junior heavyweight championship a couple of times. He has his incredible run in the Super Juniors, beating Shingo in a incredible match for the Best of Super Juniors tournament. And meanwhile, Kenny is, you know, progressing from being a junior to a heavyweight. He's having the feud in 2017 with Okada, and eventually wins the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And, well, they have a series of matches with Kenny being the leader of Bullet Club and the champ, and his best friend Kota Ibushi's back in the mix. And Will Ospreay being kind of the young boy in chaos, as Kazuchika Okada, his big brother, takes him under his wing.
It's kind of an interesting story. So what? Okada worked a date in Rev Pro, and then kind of put in a good word for him. Some of the series of stuff that we watched and doing some research, you could hear actually a lot of wrestlers probably went to bat for Ospreay. I think you watch one of his matches and you're like, wait a second, this guy is actually really good. Maybe he should be on a bigger stage. And that's probably what happened. But obviously the story goes is Okada was like blown away by this kid and helped bring him into New Japan. And yeah, around this time, think the Okada Kenny match, I'd say the Okada like G1 Naito run going into the Okada match, and then all the buzz from that match. Like it seemed like it stopped wrestling fans in their tracks. Like you had even Stone Cold Steve Austin being like, holy shit, that might be the best match I've ever seen. You had all the people talking about it, and it gave him some buzz. And then that's when, like, think this is pre-AEW. The only other alternative was this. And then the injection of Chris Jericho into the Wrestle Kingdom that got a lot of people interested, like me. So interested that I bought a fucking plane ticket because it was crazy that this happened. And Kenny in the Jericho match was great. But you know, a lot of talk after that show, talking to fans and kind of going forward was, hey, Kenny's great, but did you check out the 4-way match at that Wrestle Kingdom? That Ospreay is having great matches, the Marty Scurll matches, the Super Juniors. And it did already start the parallels of like, hey, look, there's this, we had Kenny as the Super Junior and tag teams and all that stuff. And he was pretty good and didn't necessarily catch fire. But then as soon as maybe he got some push and the heavyweight and stuff, that he became one of the players, and you could kind of maybe see a parallel in that with a young and up and coming Will Ospreay, who again started with the flippy stuff, but then started to really gain some momentum. So by the time the introduction of AEW, like people were like, okay, well, wait a second, like, is this guy gone? Because then Will is going to take his place, obviously, in being especially the top gaijin, I guess you could say. So it was an interesting time because Kenny was blowing the world away with his stuff, but waiting in the wings was Will Ospreay, who at the time, like, I remember we were really high on, like, yo, this kid is awesome. And you were obviously way more familiar with him when we started hanging about around that time, and you were like singing the praises of like his indie run and stuff. So it's cool to see the parallels. But New Japan was clearly the place to be for both of these guys.
Yeah. So in the summer of 2018, that is when Omega is the champion during the G1, but has one of our favorite matches of all time, which is it's Kenny Omega versus Tomohiro Ishii.
Oh, underrated match.
In just an incredible match. And Ishii gets the win. So he is owed a championship match against Kenny Omega. And we're also starting a little bit of a feud between Ospreay and Ibushi, which is going to lead into the Wrestle Kingdom match in January the following year. And, well, that's going to take us to Ospreay and Kenny's one of their other encounters, which is in a tag match. And it is the Golden Lovers versus Chaos, Ospreay and Tomohiro Ishii.
Big Tom and Big Billy going up against the Golden Lovers. Yes, Tomohiro Ishii and Kenny Omega have had quite a few encounters, including this tag match, but it is the G1 specifically, that match, that is just so damn good. We're talking bloody messed headbutts, brainbusters. It's so fantastic. But leading into this one where, yeah, we had a bit of a feud with Ospreay and Kota, which will be going into the singles match at Wrestle Kingdom. So it was a good little mix up here with some cross feuds happening in New Japan.
So September 7th, 2018, New Japan Road to Destruction, Night 2. We are at the famous Korakuen Hall in Tokyo, Japan. And Ospreay and Ibushi start things off. Ibushi gets Ospreay in the ropes and kind of does the Okada chest pat thing. Ospreay knocks Ibushi down, but Ibushi kips right back up. Beautiful quick action between the two, both ducking roundhouse kicks, both go for a drop kick and miss and flip back up as we have a bit of a stalemate here. And Ospreay tags in Big Tom, but Ishii wants Omega. So they go in, there's a kick to the head from Omega, and Ishii just absorbs it, starts delivering repeated headbutts. Ibushi comes in, and Ishii, running the ropes, ducks under both Omega and Ibushi's leapfrogs, which got a whoo from the crowd here. Eventually gets caught with the Kataru Crusher, and Omega sets up for Rise of the Terminator, but Ishii just shoulder blocks Omega, and it looked painful. He goes flying from this thing, tags back in Ospreay. We get some kicks from Ospreay, a German suplex from Ishii, followed by a Sky Twister press off of Ishii's back onto Omega. We get a nice chop exchange between Ishii and Omega. Both are trading back suplexes, and then Kenny and Ibushi isolate Ishii in their corner. They're double teaming him. We get forearms and chops from Omega. Ishii fires back with a big power slam and makes the tag to Will, who comes flying in with a top rope 619 to Omega, followed by the neck breaker and a shooting star. And then something I always love seeing Ospreay do, and he does it in all of these matches, the kick flip off the chest.
Oh,
always looks great.
How does he even do that?
I don't know.
It's like Spider-Man.
He gets caught with a... I used to see there was a British wrestler called Jody Fleisch who was... I've probably talked about him before, but like in the early noughties, like right as ROH was starting, was making him and Johnny Storm were making a bit of the name for themselves in the UK by doing like ladder matches and just bring that kind of new high-flying style. They jump off balconies and stuff that in British wrestling, you didn't normally see a lot of. You saw a lot of Robbie Brookside and Drew McDonald and people like that. So it was quite exciting at the time. But something Fleisch always did, and I wonder if Ospreay was inspired by him, was he'd do the run up the wall, like the backflip off the wall.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw it, I was like, how do you do that? How do you run up a wall? Like, it's superhero stuff.
Like
And I feel like
the
Ospreay
kick
got
is
that
similar.
from him.
The same when he does in all these matches, the power bomb, like the flip counter
flip
into the
over the
power bomb.
lariat.
I know we've seen other wrestlers do it. I've seen clips of wrestlers who have done it even before Ospreay was even a wrestler, but everyone just refers to that as the Ospreay counter because he does it like it's seamless, like Spider-Man type stuff.
Ospreay gets caught with a snapdragon, and then Ibushi comes flying in with a drop kick, and the Golden Lovers hit the cross slash, the tandem moonsaults from each corner. And then we get the You Can't Escape shooting star moonsault combo from Ibushi and Omega. And then Ospreay, not wanting to be outflipped, hits a Sasuke special. And then a Doomsday Pip Pip Cheerio, on the shoulder of Ishii. And then Ospreay comes flying off with a springboard phenomenal forearm. Ishii's delivering some stiff clotheslines, goes for a power bomb, but Ibushi breaks it with a kick to the back, and Ishii looks pissed here and is doing his no sell as he's getting chopped and forearmed and is just absorbing it, walking in, but eventually gets caught with a V-trigger roundhouse combo from the Lovers, and then a golden trigger attempt. Kenny and Ibushi block, and Ospreay blocks this V-trigger, the golden trigger, and then gets caught and double fall away slammed like a sack of potatoes over the top rope to the floor. Will just goes flying with this. It's like, nope, and just disappears off the screen. Looks great. Golden Lovers go up top for a golden shower, but Ishii blocks it. Yeah, you heard. Ishii blocks and hits a superplex. Ospreay comes flying in. We get the sliding lariat from Ishii. Pin attempts. Ibushi just flies in to block it. And then Ishii runs into a V-trigger. Omega runs into a lariat. Omega kicks out. We get the sheer drop brainbuster blocked into a snapdragon, followed by the V-trigger from Kenny. Sets up one-winged angel. Ishii attempts. Ishii blocks the V-trigger. Headbutt. V-trigger connects from Omega, and both men are down. So now Ibushi and Ospreay are going at it. They're trading blows, trading roundhouse kicks. Ospreay does the chest flip kick. Ibushi attempts a lariat, and this is where Ospreay flips over the arm of the lariat into the Liger Bomb, followed immediately by the Robinson Special and signals for the Os Cutter. But Omega comes in to break it up. Stun Dog Millionaire to Omega from Ospreay. Os Cutter caught by Ibushi into a straight jacket German for a 2 count, and Ibushi retains wrist control. Will blocks the Kamigoye and hits his hook kick, goes to the Os Cutter again, but this time gets hit by the V-trigger on the apron. And then Ibushi hits his deadlift German off the second rope, bringing Ospreay back into the ring, dumping him on his neck.
Ouch.
1, 2, Ishii flies in to break it up. However, we get the snap Rana to Ishii and the golden trigger to Ospreay. 1, 2, 3. The Golden Lovers pin Will Ospreay in 19 minutes, 30 seconds.
The Golden Lovers golden shower all over the young boy. Wait, what? Yeah, crazy match. Holy smokes. Like, there's so many moving parts to this. You have Ishii, who's just a brick shithouse, throwing headbutts, suplexes, doesn't give a fuck. And then you have Ospreay, like we said, is still in the more like flippier stage of his career, doing all sorts of crazy stuff, who's matching the freak of Kota Ibushi, who's also doing kind of the kicks and all that, nutso stuff. So it's a great concoction. And then you're throwing Kenny in there, who's kind of does a bit of a well-rounded thing. So it's very strong style meets the new kind of generation of Kota and Ospreay and Kenny. So it is such a fun match. And I remember loving this, maybe only seen this once, kind of maybe when it happened. And again, I was totally already on the Ospreay train of like, yo, this kid is great. The kid, he's probably around my age or if not a year older than me. But still, I was like, wow, like book this guy. I'll make this guy the future of this company off doing see him do these flippy crazy stuff. But yeah, love this match. It's cool seeing the young boy Will take the pin. from Kenny here in a tag match, but you knew it was leading to something big with himself and Kota at Wrestle Kingdom.
What I love with tag matches is you can spam finishers and get away with it because you have the partner breaking it up, right?
breaking it up.
Rather than just kicking out of all these finishers. And some of the breakups of pins in this match were so exciting. Like, this is, I'd say 2018 is probably prime Tomohiro Ishii. Like, him at his absolute peak.
Yeah.
Because the speed he moves at is incredible for like his weird stature he has. And he comes in like a torpedo, breaking up some of these pinfalls. And yeah, just super exciting match. Just doesn't let up at all. Fun to see the Golden Lovers back together. And just the story here is really kind of, you know, Ospreay facing off with Ibushi and Ishii facing off with Omega. So you don't get that many interactions between Ospreay and Omega, but it's exciting when it happens.
Yeah, you only get brief little, moments of it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you are, because I do remember they went back to Ishii Kenny as a title program for one of the main event of a pay-per-view, whatever.
I think it's Destruction. I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's what this was Road to, right? That's right. So yeah, it was good to see kind of the mix up, but still leaving you still want a bit more. So that's exactly what we wanted and possibly got. Where would you go? I wouldn't necessarily go a full 5 with this, but kind of on the same page of how I felt with the match earlier. I don't want to just say it's like a spot fest, but it had so many great things in it, but just like a little off a notch there. So I'd maybe go like a 4.75, kind of how I felt with the last one. Maybe a bit higher than the last one, but still around that ballpark.
I'm a 4.5 for this one.
Yeah.
I preferred it to the PWG match, and I really, really enjoyed this match. I just love all 4 wrestlers involved.
Shout out Big Tom.
Yeah. Meltzer went 4.75 on this match, and Cage match is a 9.22.
I guess I'll just get it out of the way while I can. Ishii should have. Let me make sure I say this properly. Ishii should have been given the ball to run with just one time. You fucked up, New Japan. Like, come on. Look at the state of you in 2026. And you're saying Ishii was never world champion? Look at all the people you let slip away. Suzuki too. But Ishii, come on. Should have been champion. Should have been. I said my piece.
Yes. We move forward. Kenny obviously retains the championship against Tomohiro Ishii. And we head towards December. This is the final show before the Tokyo Dome. This is New Japan's Road to Tokyo Dome on December 15th, 2018. We are back in Korakuen Hall. And yeah, this is the 2 big matches going up against each other. It's Kenny and Kota taking on Will Ospreay, and this time partnering the current president, Hiroshi Tanahashi.
The ace and the aerial assassin. Yeah, what a team with these two. You could see Ospreay was just buzzing to be in the ring next to Tanahashi at this point. Great team. They look great here. And I love this, like Corcoran Hall, shout out the pork cutlet sandwiches, by the way. But they have, remember when people would bring their towels? Like and the flags, right? You saw this in the last match was at Corcoran as well, with like all the hyping and the flags and the stuff. It looks so like these fans are so into this. But yes, Kenny Omega was going into Tokyo Dome against Tanahashi, and the whole story is like Kenny Omega's the new school, and the Gaijin, and bringing in all the new attention because he doesn't do things the old way, and Tanahashi, the old guard, has to prove that the honor of New Japan shall stay the same kind of thing. So we all knew Kenny was leaving and was going to lose to Tanahashi.
Yeah, I was going to say there's very, very much whispers around this time that Kenny's leaving. And I think there's started to be, and it's brought up later, there's started to be a bit of like friction towards him from the audience as well, who I think sensed that he was on his way out.
Well, they knew he was leaving it, right? So people were like, hey, wait a second, you're going to leave us? Like, even though he'd come back, but still, like, they were like, wait, you can't leave us. Why would you do that?
And it's also been documented that it's around this time when Omega, knowing he's on his way out, pulls Ospreay aside and basically says, you got to fill my shoes. You got to step up and carry this company and keep it in a a good condition because he does love New Japan Pro Wrestling, but it's time for him to move on.
Yes, so Ospreay's got to be the flag bearer. The baton is going to be passed, and can he run with it?
So we start the match, and it's Ibushi and Ospreay starting things again. They're running the ropes. Ospreay monkey flips Ibushi and then ducks a roundhouse, both drop kick and kip up, staring at each other, very much like the beginning of their last match. Ospreay then tags in Tanahashi, and Omega comes in, the disrespect, wearing a t-shirt.
Oh, he's like, I ain't wearing gear. I'm wearing my shirt like Naito for you because I couldn't be fucked.
Yes. We get a second rope crossbody from Tanahashi and then a moonsault off of Tana's hands from Ospreay to Omega. We get a chop from Ospreay, and this fires up Omega enough to take the shirt off, and he just starts choking Ospreay with it. He repeatedly is backing Ospreay into the corner, delivering big chops, and now the Golden Lovers are isolating Ospreay. They're double teaming. Omega's like doing beals with the t-shirt, just throwing Ospreay around. Ospreay gets sent into the ropes and comes back with, I don't know what else to call it, but I always do the flipping kick, but Red Dot, it now has a name thanks to Javon Evans. But yes,
right.
the like spinning kick finally tags Tanahashi in, who comes in, and however, Ibushi's delivering roundhouse kicks to the chest of Tana. Omega comes in with a Kataru crusher, and then Ospreay flies off the top with the crossbody, and just like last time, gets just dumped like a sack of potatoes out of the ring.
They love that spot, don't they?
It's a great spot, yeah. We then get cross slash from the Golden Lovers, and Ibushi comes up short on a shooting star press, and Ospreay catches Omega with a cheeky Nando's, but like from the apron, and then hits a sunset bomb into the ring on Omega on top of Ibushi.
This is nasty.
All four men are down. Yeah, it looks terrific.
It's very rare we see this spot. I remember Kenny and Ibushi have done it, I think, in the triple threat with Cody Rhodes. Am I crazy? Was that a match we've seen? Yeah.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
And it's actually a terrifying spot. Ospreay is sunset flipping Kenny onto Ibushi, who's like just hit a shooting star on Tanahashi. Like, this could go so wrong in so many ways, and it looks painful. But yeah, crazy sequences between all these guys.
We get a Snapdragon from Omega to Tanahashi, who comes straight back in with a sling blade. Ibushi attempts the deadlift German, but gets blocked. We get the Pip Pip Cheerio and a running shooting star from Will. Ospreay goes up top for a moonsault, but gets caught by Ibushi into a lawn dart. But this gets blocked and caught straight into a German with a bridge, just back and forth here. Get the Stun Dog Millionaire from Ospreay, and he goes to make the tag, but Tana isn't on the apron. So instead, he goes for the Oscutter, but that gets blocked. Snapdragon attempt blocked. Ospreay kicks off the chest, hits the step-up enziguri, and then runs into a V-trigger. Ospreay comes back with a one-man Spanish fly, but only a 2 count. We then get the announcer saying 20 minutes of this match has passed, which has just flown by. There's a Rana from Ibushi off the top rope, and Ospreay lands on his feet. And it's the thing. They do the thing.
This is the spot, though. This is the one, right? Like,
yes,
often imitated.
Time, yeah.
Often imitated, never whatever. You know what I mean? Like, this is the one, right? Like, it looks so great. It's such a like martial arts movie fight scene.
It's the camera shot, isn't it? It's like the camera going through Ibushi to Ospreay stood behind him with,
like, you know,
Ibushi looking over his shoulder. It's fantastic.
Obviously, wrestling fans, we're just conditioned and annoyed whenever we meet people and they go, you know, it's fake, right? Well, how can you watch that shit? It's like, yeah, but I also love watching like martial arts movies and action movies and fight sequences. And I'm sorry to tell you, those are also usually like created and choreographed, right? But these guys, this era of New Japan with like Kenny, Ibushi, Ospreay especially, that's how they all look like these crazy epic, you know, John Wick fights. And this would be an epic moment in a movie where the guy, you know, we're going to see in Doomsday in the trailer when Thor goes to hit him and Doom just blocks it, goes, nah, I got you. Or like in Dragon Ball Z when, you know, they dust off. It's like he went for a huge, crazy move, and Ospreay lands on his feet like it was nothing. And the shout out New Japan camera work. They always make it look like a real sport or a real fight. And just the look from Ibushi with the camera is like, oh, I didn't expect that. Uh-oh. It's fantastic.
The one problem is I think stuff like this you can only do once, because
Of course,
whenever I've seen
they all do it
whenever
now.
I've seen it, no, I know, and these two have done it again.
Yeah,
But whenever I see it done since, it feels so contrived. Whereas the first time you see it, you're not expecting it, and it's fantastic. And I'd say that about a few things. You know, like I always remember the first time I saw the lunatic lariat that Dean Ambrose, John Moxley would do. And it was in like a 6-man against the Wyatts. And I think it was Luke Harper just hit him so hard that he goes flying into that second rope and bounces back with a lariat. And it looked great. Every time since then, it looks goofy as hell because it looks so contrived and set up. Same with, you know, like when Big Show and Brock broke the ring. Like, it was so unexpected. It's like, whoa. And now whenever you see it, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, they're doing the Brock Big Show spot. And I think this moment here, just the way it's shot, the precision, like how effortlessly Will lands on his feet, all of that is just fantastic. But
like
anytime since, I'm like, oh, could we just have not left this sacred, just this one moment?
Well, I'd say he's still the one who can do it perfectly, but I'm pretty sure we've seen people like, sorry to drag Seth Rollins into this, but he's tried to do it and made it look like dog shit. So it's like, like this move is, you know, again, often duplicated, but no one can quite do it like this. So I see this one being posted in a lot of non-wrestling meme pages because it's pretty cool. It's a great shot of like this guy getting flipped, lands on his feet and is like, now what? What you got next? So fantastic spot.
Ibushi and Ospreay then get into each other's face and they start trading forearms. We get stiff kicks from Ibushi to the chest and he's begging Ospreay, get up, we want more. Ospreay then fakes out a high kick and delivers this nasty kick to the leg of Ibushi. Flips over the lariat, but still gets caught with a lariat from Ibushi. Tana then tags in and hits this deadly-looking inverted dragon screw to the same leg that Ospreay just kicked of Ibushi. Looked like he just broke his kneecap with this one. Omega then hits a sling blade to Tana, and this is where you notice the boos. Omega's stealing Tanahashi's moves, and the crowd maybe aren't quite into him like they used to be. The Golden Lovers then go up for the Golden Shower, but Ospreay leaps up and hits an avalanche. 2-man Spanish fly, and then looks nuts. Tana goes up top, high fly flow, Ospreay shooting star, 1, 2. Kota breaks it up. Ospreay then sets up for Stormbreaker, which he debuted relatively recently, but that gets blocked. We get a Poison Rana from Kenny, a last ride from Ibushi, and then I think he was going for the J Driller, but it's more like interestingly enough, the Tiger Driver 91.
Right.
Omega hits here to Will, which was very interesting. Followed by a V-trigger. One-winged angel attempt gets blocked. We get a Rana from Ospreay with the follow-up pin attempt, but Omega kicks out. And then Will blocks the V-trigger, hits his hook kick, goes to the Os cutter. That gets blocked. Ibushi's roundhouse kick gets blocked and clocks Omega in the head with it. We then get stereo straightjacket suplexes from Tanahashi and Ospreay. Both men kick out. Another one-winged angel attempt, but this time from Ospreay. And then this kind of gets blocked. And, one-winged angel attempt to Ospreay. And Ibushi leaps off the top into essentially like the Meltzer driver here.
Yeah.
But Tana breaks it up. Ibushi kicks Tana out the ring. And then we get the golden trigger once more to Will. 1, 2, 3. 28 minutes, 46 seconds in an incredible match. That's definitely wetting your whistle for Wrestle Kingdom.
Oh, man, what a match. I remember when this happened, and it kind of stopped us in our tracks. I know when it was announced that they were doing this road to, this is December 15th, so only a few weeks before Wrestle Kingdom. And when they put this out, and I'm pretty sure they put it up on their YouTube as well pretty quickly. We rushed to go watch it and we were like blown away. And I'm pretty sure if you watch the English feed at the end, Kevin Kelly's like, hey, all you people who or maybe it was Chris Charlton. One of them was like, all you people writing your matches of the year list, you may have to throw that list out and start over after this one just sneaks in on December 15th. And yeah, I remember it making a lot of people's list because it's awesome. Like, what a tag team match. One of the best tag team matches for sure that I've seen in New Japan, especially in this era. And I got to say, this like 2016, 2017, 18, 19, got to be one of my favorite eras of wrestling. That New Japan era where you had your Naitos, Okadas, Kota Ibushi, Tanahashi, Will Ospreay, like this Tomohiro Ishii, like this cast of characters. I would take
Hiromi.
Yeah, I would take this era of New Japan over any era, any roster, any of anything. Your ECW, your Attitude Era, no matter what it is. This like late 2010s like New Japan era is my favorite in all of wrestling. I am very nostalgic for this era, and this tag team match is another reason to be a fan of this era. It's just so much action in it. We mentioned that crazy spot off the top. There's so many intricate stories that are setting up and keeping you wanting more. It's just awesome. Really love this match.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's very similar in like style and pace to the one involving Ishii, but it gets about 10 minutes more and still feels like a sprint. Like when they said 20 minutes past, I'm like, what? How? Like it just doesn't let up. Again, incredible near falls. It gets a little like deadlier, I'd say, like towards the end, like that like Tiger Driver 91 is like just an insane move. The double Spanish fly off the top, just so many great points in this match. Where would you go with this one?
Man, I've watched this match a few times, maybe more so than the other two we just talked about, but I love it. I would really go high with it. I'd say this is a must-watch match. 5 stars. There you go.
5 stars?
I'm saying it. Yeah. Yeah. I remember being like, what? They gave this away at Corcoran Hall, like essentially for free on social media, YouTubes and stuff. I'm like, this is better than what anything else was being pumped out around this time. So yeah, really love this match. And I know we had the Young Bucks Golden Lovers match around this time, and this is not a match to sleep on. I loved this match.
So
what about you?
I went 4.75.
Oh, boo.
Like, loved it, but it just doesn't have that thing to make me a 5-star.
What in 2018, what was WWE doing that was like their match of the year? Was it like some NXT stuff probably? Right?
2018?
2018. Yeah, that's when this was, right?
2018, you had Takeover New Orleans. Like yeah.
That was pretty good.
So definitely the NXT stuff would have been.
Okay, match of the year was 2018 was also like the Kenny Okada feud was still going earlier in the year. Yep. So you did still have that. But you also had Gargano and Almas, though.
You had Gargano Almas, you had Gargano Ciampa, you had
we recently did match. Yeah, but a few months ago, in honor of Tanahashi retiring, we did a best match ever, Hiroshi Tanahashi, where we went through his career and we looked at Tana versus Kota Ibushi, where Tana beat Kota to win the G1 to go and face Kenny, right? So that match is absolutely crazy too. So again, really loved this era of not just I loved the NXT era around this time too, but I love going back and rewatching this era of New Japan. It's just so good.
I feel as well like it's a lot of the style was fresh to us as viewers around this time as well. Like, no, not that this is a strong style match, but I'd be into like a lot of the strong style matches, which I think I've seen enough of now where I don't get quite as excited about them. Similarly with NXT, you're really getting into the epic, melodramatic matches, Gargano Ciampa, which I dug at the time, and then they kept on trying to replicate, and looking at my hands, as people always say, like that kind of stuff. But 2018, it was fresh, and it was just a great year for wrestling.
So as we kind of said, like earlier when we looked at the PWG match, Kenny wasn't that guy yet. Obviously, Will isn't that guy yet. by this point, the Okada trilogy, all that stuff, Kenny it beat him in that epic 2 out of 3 falls. Like, now he's considered the best wrestler, like walking the earth, but named by all these other, not just the fans, but other wrestling, legends and so forth. Like, this guy's the shit. But waiting in the wings is this Will Ospreay, and here we just had an amazing match, and you can't have one without the other with a great dance partner. And I think seeing Will being put in these tag matches with Kenny and Kota here, you're like, wait a second, like he can match what they put down, and if they're considered the hot shit right now, then so should Will, because he's the one going tit for tat with these guys. And I remember thinking around this time, like, wow, like Will Ospreay is one of the best to watch as well. Like he was quickly catching up to Kenny Omega's like stature, even at this point. The buzz was around Will at this point too, I would say. But yeah, this match was awesome.
Absolutely. And I would imagine I'd imagine it was after this match when Kenny pulled Will aside and it's like, hey, I'm off. Like, it was either then or at Wrestle Kingdom, but I feel it was probably more likely here.
Yeah.
I mean, Cage Match has this at 9.42 and Meltzer a 5 stars.
Ooh, oh yeah, he loved this match then. He loved this match. This is like, it's interesting because the people expected bangers, like, especially this era. If you saw Kenny on a card, you're like, all right, you're going to get something good. So I think if you took him out of the equation, Will slots in, you're going to like, all right, we expect some big stuff from you, some top content. And I think he holds up, if you will. But yeah, this is the last encounter of them in New Japan for now. Right?
Yeah. So we go on to the Tokyo Dome, and so a little bit of poetry here, as if you kind of disregard the like pre-show match, you have Omega and Ospreay bookending this show. You have Ospreay opening the show against against Kota Ibushi for the IWGP Never Openweight Championship, and this is where Ospreay debuts the Hidden Blade, and Ibushi legit gets concussed from this, which is important to take note of because it is brought up in their feud later on. And then later in the evening, Kenny Omega faces Tanahashi for the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship, and Tanahashi takes it off of him. And a couple of days later, Kenny Omega announces he has left New Japan. So we're in a state of flux now. We've got tickets to this big New Japan ROH supercard taking place in April, WrestleMania weekend in New York City. However, there's no Kenny and there's no Bucks on this show, as something is brewing. And we have the very first AEW show, All Elite Wrestling, taking place, Double or Nothing, May 25th, 2019. You have also in that summer, you have Will Ospreay defeating Shingo Takagi in the Best of the Super Juniors tournament in a Match of the Year contender. And then we move towards 2020 as Ospreay graduates, moves up to heavyweight, and Ospreay defeats Okada, his big brother, in the G1 on October 16th when his then girlfriend Bea Priestley and Great Khan attack Okada, and therefore Will Ospreay leaves Chaos. Hanare eventually joins him, and they form United Empire. Ospreay's heel Gaijin faction. Ospreay's doing a bit of the Conor McGregor. He's wearing suits and sunglasses and Rolexes and saying how much money he's got. And then December of that year, Kenny Omega defeats Jon Moxley at Winter is Coming with the help of Don Callis to become AEW champion for the first time. And then March.
Yeah, like a lot has happened since the career trajectory. Like, just to stop you for a second, like, okay, the Madison Square Garden thing, no matter what anyone says, we were fans, locked in all the wrestling we could take in that time. Everyone bought tickets because we thought it was Kenny Omega and Okada. Can we admit that? That is truthful. It is later confirmed that was the setup for the match. Like,
Yes.
that was clearly, Kenny then mentions this later in some of these interviews, but that's how popular this, like, they already got everyone's attention, but we got Jay White Okada. It was a good match. We were there. It was fun. It was good, but the people were expecting that kind of thing. But Kenny, you made your choice and you left. Now, is this something I don't know too much about, or hasn't made it public, I guess, from Omega, even all these years later, is like the thing with New Japan always, hey, Wrestle Kingdom is always on January 4th, and we always have the contracts and right after it. So, like, all the stories, AJ, Good Brothers, Nakamura, like all this stuff of people just leaving after your biggest show of the year. It's like such a bad, like, not a good idea. They should change that. Or maybe they have since then. But like, it sucks that Kenny, was this a choice he had to make? Like, hey, you can't do both? Is what I wonder.
Bad blood. There was definitely bad blood between New Japan and AEW for a couple of years, because the partnership doesn't come for a while. I think AEW does the TNA partnership before they do a New Japan partnership. But then March of 2020, COVID-19 happens and the world is in shutdown, and AEW is able to continue. Obviously, they're doing the shows at Daly's Place. They do a couple of shows at like QT Marshall's school, if I remember correctly. And New Japan takes a little break and then comes back to, empty arenas. We then get the clap crowds, and like, New Japan has never really recovered since COVID-19. Like, not only did they lose a lot of their big stars the year prior, but now it's hard to create any buzz when you're doing this, like, clap crowd as well, but crowd wrestling.
It ruined everything. Obviously, not just wrestling, with tons of things and people passing away and all its bad things. But yeah, it definitely affected New Japan Wrestling. Like, not only did you lose your top stars that you've been building towards and the people got behind, but then on top of that, like, you're doing these shows with half crowds, no crowds. You saw in WWE, they tried to deal with it with the Thunderdome and it was bad. AEW with their kind of empty crowds and the Guns being front row, at least they tried. Like, there's a mix of things, but you got to feel for these performers, and especially Will Ospreay, who was very vocal about the tough times, like, during COVID and what he had to go through just to entertain us, the fans, and all that. So it is interesting because Kenny got off and left, the boat, and it's like, hey, good luck. Like, you can't say he did the wrong thing, because I'm sure he wanted to switch up his career, and AEW was this hot new thing, and money and status and all that kind of stuff. But I do think, years removed, like, I wonder if the two companies and New Japan and Kenny could have cooperated, and maybe that would have helped them when it got a little messier. You know what I mean?
I feel Tony Khan would have let the Bucks.
Absolutely. That's what I was saying.
Especially AEW hasn't started yet. It could have been like the send off, right? It's you've tied up that loose end with Tanahashi. Now tie up that loose end with Okada, and then the following month we are starting with Double or Nothing. And
so that's what I mean. That's what I was trying to get at, is like, will we ever learn that, like, it was New Japan being like, nah, you can't do that. You can't do that. And it's like, clearly Tony Khan would have let that slide, because we've seen him let people do all sorts of crazy stuff. So it's like, I do think it was New Japan, and that came to bite them in the ass for a few years, until they probably came crawling back. Like, hey, Kenny, actually, we'll throw you some money. And the same thing happened with Okada in 2026, who then right after that match with Tana is like, actually, they treated me badly again. So I'm sure we'll see people still crisscross with New Japan, but they shot themselves in the foot, I would say. Yeah, Kenny's leaving. So what? People leave, but doesn't mean you can't still have him, right? So I don't know. I'll always wonder what happened there, but I digress.
We then, at Wrestle Kingdom 15, we have a 2-night Wrestle Kingdom with Kota Ibushi defeating Jay White in that 48-minute match that I know Eric Marcotte fucking hates.
I liked it when it happened, but I don't think I've ever necessarily gone and like put that one back on, you know?
I don't think I necessarily want to go back and watch it.
Yeah.
But yes, it was
That's
long.
Jay White.
So Kota Ibushi is the champion, but in April 4th, 2021 at Sakura Genesis, Ospreay wins the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship by beating Kota Ibushi. However, exactly a month later, he defends the title against Shingo at Wrestling Dontaku and picks up an injury and has to vacate the belt. And I think a little sort of Mandela effect where I assumed Ospreay held the belt longer than a month, or assumed he held it a couple of times or whatever. But no, he holds the belt for a month, and then he is like going back to the UK and is healing up his neck, and eventually starts working dates again, but is not traveling to Japan. So he's doing a lot of Rev Pro shows, a lot of New Japan Strong shows in the US. Gets cleared at August 14th at the Resurgent show in Los Angeles. And this is where he's still his heel character, and he starts carrying around the IWGP Championship, claiming that he is the real IWGP champion because he never lost it. He had to vacate it.
It's a tough thing because it's another what if of, okay, if there was no COVID and Ospreay was left to be the White Knight, the replacement of Kenny Omega, they tried with Jay White really first, right? Like he was already the one they were positioning, the Bullet Club lore and all that stuff. But I don't know if he was, I don't just want to shit on Jay White, but he's not Kenny Omega. So it is not quite the same. But then once you started putting Will into that spot is when the pandemic. So it's almost like, what if it wasn't? Would the fans clip to him? Would they attach themselves like they did to Kenny Omega, right? Like there is a lot of different what ifs, but it sucks that Will was positioned as the guy finally in one of the, bad times because of no crowds and all that kind of stuff. So kind of sucks for Ospreay there.
September 8th, 2021, Ospreay is back to wrestling, and the PWI Top 500 Wrestlers is dropped, naming Kenny Omega as the number 1 wrestler in the world and Will Ospreay at number 7. And this is when Will Ospreay is known as Mr. Twitter Fingers, because he goes on Twitter and says, "I'd beat up number 1 any day of the week and twice on Wednesdays. Just saying." Kenny Omega fires back, "Your promotion has been so ice cold since I left that not even Meltzer can convince his followers that you are part of any best in the world conversation. It hurts me, bruv. One of you dorks should have been the guy. Turned out a bigger dog was my only competition." And Ospreay comes back saying, "Last chat we had was you need to be the guy. Since then you left. We sold out MSG, sold more tickets at the Tokyo Dome than ever before, and put on banger after banger. A pandemic put the brakes on, and you know it. Open that door. Let's have this conversation."
Mm-hmm. Open that door, eh? What kind of door are we speaking of? A forbidden one? Also, I think I have that edition of PWI. I think did you get it for me? I have this one. It's Kenny on the cover.
Nice.
With the belt. Yeah. It's in storage. I got it.
So November 13th, 2021 is Full Gear. And at this, Hangman Page defeats Kenny Omega for the AEW Championship. And Kenny takes a long time off as he's rehabbing multiple injuries he's picked up. January 5th, 2022, Ospreay loses to Okada in an IWGP Championship match at Wrestle Kingdom.
Great match.
And then fantastic match. And this is, essentially retiring this real IWGP Championship that Ospreay has. And then January 29th, 2022, we get Michael Oku versus Will Ospreay at Rev Pro High Stakes at York Hall, which garners a 5-star rating from Meltzer and kind of sets the internet on fire a bit. A lot of people were checking out this match, and it was getting a lot of buzz around the time.
Yeah, definitely. There's a few matches between Ospreay and Oku, right? That we've seen, and
this is the first one, I believe. Yeah,
there's quite a few, and they're fantastic, and definitely excited to see Oku at Rev Pro this year in 2026. But kind of catching the smart internet wrestling fans attention online and maybe even Omega's attention. He knows what it's like to get some buzz online with the smart internet wrestling fans, right?
Yes. So just 6 days after the match with Oku on February 4th, 2022, Will Ospreay tweets, "The chase begins," kind of indicating he's wanting that championship back. And Kenny Omega replies, "Keep sending your fan cam footage of your zero pressure indies and you might just pull it off. I do the same for some easy fives, but I understand the difference between what an arena, dome, Budokan main event means compared to when you play with your mates a few blocks over at York Hall." Will Ospreay fires back, "Dude, you're approaching 40 and we all still poke fun that you wrestled a 9-year-old girl. That's you. Bit weird, bro. It's mad to think that anytime I get close to doing something close to great, old Kenny Omega wants to pipe up and expect me not to pop off. Brother makes millions of dollars and he is concerned about some cunt not having anything to do with his company, trying to rebuild a scene that so many people gave up on. Bruv, just rehab up. I want what's best for you and hope you live a happy life. Just let me focus on my shit. If you don't like me and watch everything I do, you're a fan."
Damn, some choice words from both guys. Okay, I gotta dissect. Kenny mentioned fan footage because it's like an indie promotion.
Yeah.
Rev Pro, I hope they've stepped it up, but Rev Pro camera work is the worst I've seen in wrestling. Like the guy, they must hire Michael J. Fox as their camera guy because that thing is like all over the place. It's so like shaky. So I'm assuming Kenny is making reference to that because that was such a thing with Rev Pro footage that you would watch these matches and it's like, oh my God, I'm getting dizzy trying to watch this match. And it's not because of the wrestlers. It's because the guy is always like moving it around. So tripods, hopefully they use now in Rev Pro. So I find that funny from Kenny's tweet. So then Will Ospreay basically saying like, why you hung up on me, bro? Worry about yourself.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. So clearly poking the bear a little bit, maybe setting something up for down the line.
I wonder how much how much like shoot and kayfabe are in these tweets, because especially the first set of tweets was quite a while before they're anywhere near locking up. These ones, it's still quite a few months before Omega's gonna be back in the fold of things. Like this is in February, he returns in August, so it's quite a while before. But there's some great lines from both guys. I love the like reference to Roman. Turned out a bigger dog was my only competition. There's some like good little lines in there, and Ospreay more just like "fuck off, you cunt," essentially in responses.
Oi, bruv. Yeah. I wasn't sure at the time. Like they didn't say anything like super scathing. Like, they're not like ripping into each other, but I was curious at the time, like, okay, Will was very vocal on Twitter against people. We had the Seth stuff that I guess was around this time too, but something did tell me this is wrestling. And if anything, this is a match we need to get to one day. So it did kind of tip me off. Like maybe this was done on purpose, but I'd love for that to be like, actually, they were just shooting on each other on social media like a bunch of dorks, but we love them.
On February 18th, 2022, Wrestling Observer's newsletter of the 2021 awards comes out with Kenny Omega being named Wrestler of the Year. Now, 9 months to the day, 9 months since Kenny was injured, the Bucks are in a trios tournament that has started. We're going to have trios championships on AEW, and Kenny returns as a surprise partner for the Bucks, defeating Andrade, Rush, and Dragon Lee in the first round. And then we go to the following week, AEW Dynamite, August 24th, 2022 at the Wallstein Center in Cleveland, Ohio. We've been there, haven't we? The Wallstein Center.
I guess we've been to Cleveland, yeah.
And
they didn't let me bring in my my vapes and stuff.
Oh, that's true, yes. And the United Empire defeat Death Triangle in first round of the tournament when Kenny Omega comes out to battle cry, to confront Will Ospreay. And Ospreay is like, let's fucking go. Let's do this now. Let's do this now. But they will be meeting in the semifinals on Dynamite. It's Ospreay and Aussie Open, or if you will, the United Empire taking on the Bucks and Kenny Omega, the Elite, in the AEW World Trios Championship Tournament semifinals on August 31st, 2022 at the Now Arena, Hoffman Estates, Illinois.
Yeah. Okay, so I loved this when we would be watching Dynamite. I love this story because you brought in Ospreay, who was not a regular on AEW TV. He was still New Japan talent. And then you had Aussie Open, who I only knew through the stuff with New Japan and then the FTR feud and all that. But they were still really fresh. And it's crazy to see this guy that they keep calling Kyle Fletcher, this young, scrawny twink. This cannot be the same guy we watch on TV weekly in 2025, 2026. Oh my God.
Even Davis looks like a different person.
Yeah, they look completely different. Yeah. The chicken and rice diet that they keep talking about. Holy crap. They're so much smaller here, but they're still awesome to watch. I love the encounter the week before where Kenny is being held back by the Bucks and he wants to fight Ospreay and he's like, come on, bro, let's go. So it got me so hyped for this match. And this Will Ospreay, United Empire versus the Elite match that we're going to talk about here is such an underrated Dynamite banger that I'm glad we added to talk about here, because this was your first teaser, a taste in quite a while of the new versions of Kenny Omega and Ospreay all these years later in a completely different company in America, in North America, here in Chicago, and facing with their crew as well. So cool snapshot of how we got here to the different versions, the evolution of Ospreay and Omega.
Oh, no, it's not. We're back. This is also a pretty crazy episode of Dynamite. Sorry, this is. Oh, it's the week before that was the crazy one where you had the match between Moxley and CM Punk. This you could say is the last Dynamite before AEW falls off the rails for a little bit.
Brawl Out, right?
As we're heading into Brawl Out, yeah, just the Sunday coming up.
We were hoping for Kenny versus Ospreay. You mentioned the big dog, but Kenny would maybe get in a fight with a little dog. Potentially.
Yes,
maybe.
There you go.
Possibly.
and have you seen Unreal at all when Punk's talking about Larry? And apparently it kind of brings a little bit more light to it because, you know, people, what was it? Ace Steel said he was the one that did who bit. So Punk says on Unreal that Larry has one bite to his name, and if he bites someone again, he'll have to be put down. So I'm pretty sure it was Larry who bit Kenny Omega. Right. Like, they all agreed, like, just all of this going on. Sorry, Ace, can you take it? We're not having little Larry put down for biting the best bout machine. But yeah, this is like the Dynamite before everything falls off the rails. Commentary bring up that Kenny Omega has a 1-0 record over Will Ospreay in singles competition, alluding to that PWG.
Yeah,
match.
They mentioned PWG. It's Excalibur. Obviously,
Yes, this is the Justin Roberts announcement when Kenny had the like grand announcement for his.
Oh, right. North Carolina. Yeah.
Yes, he has drawn more people and sold more merch in Japan than Will Ospreay. He has better looks, hair, and smile than Will Ospreay. He won his return match, which did not take place in North Carolina. And Kenny comes out and, yeah, if you remember, this is the time where he's like still selling that he's just broken down. So he's wearing this compression top and
weird gear.
And we're all like, this doesn't look like our Kenny Omega.
And then he wrestles and you're like, all right.
Will and Kenny go at it right away. There's a pop-up Rana from the Bucks to Will. Planches, but Aussie Open catches the Bucks and sandwiches Omega between them. And then a Sky Twister press from Ospreay, taking everyone out on the outside. Ospreay then gets backdropped onto the stage, and Matt Jackson leaps off the ramp with a swan dive, taking everyone out on the floor. Back in the ring, the Elite isolate Ospreay in their corner, and Don Callis on commentary, who is still with Kenny Omega at the time is putting over what a fantastic athlete Ospreay is, and bringing up that Ospreay is obsessed with Omega. And Taz questions, well, maybe it's Omega obsessed with Ospreay. And Callis brings up Omega gave the mantle to Ospreay years ago and has been upset with what he did with it. Omega's then delivering Snapdragons all round, sends Ospreay out the ring, who skins the cat and super kicks Omega, goes for the Oscutter but gets caught. And then there's a Snapdragon from Kenny, Ospreay landing on his feet, Rana's to Omega on the outside, and then a space flying tiger drop from Ospreay landing on his feet. We then get a Snapdragon from Omega to Ospreay on the floor, and then back
This
in
was
the ring.
crazy. So it was like all these sequences where Will kept getting like Kenny's number. Like every time Kenny went for a Snapdragon, it was countered. Everything Kenny was trying to do, Will countered, and then finally counters the Snapdragon, counters Kenny's Rana, sends him to the floor, goes for the space tiger drop thing. But when he lands it, Kenny ducks it and then hits the Snapdragon. And then he's like, see, I'm still ahead of you, young boy, Will, essentially. So I thought it was a really cool sequence there.
Aussie Open then hit a delayed double superplex to Kenny in the ring. And then Ospreay rips off the compression shirt. And we see Kenny is all bandaged up. And Ospreay's delivering forearms to the abdomen. There's a spinning backbreaker targeting the injured ribs. And then an abdomen stretch from Ospreay, followed by this beautiful tornado DDT from Nick to Ospreay on the floor. There's a 450 attempt, but Will gets his knees up. And then Ospreay delivers a Snapdragon of his own, mocks the V-trigger gun pose, but Kenny gets in his face before he can deliver the V-trigger. There's a forearm exchange here. And then Ospreay does the flip off Omega's chest, goes for the step-up enziguri, but Omega scouts it, goes for a lariat, but Ospreay flips over the arm into the Liger Bomb and tags in Aussie Open, who goes for like a Coriolis Oscutter. But as Ospreay's flying in with the Oscutter, Nick gets the knee up right to his face. We then get a pop-up powerbomb from Omega to Fletcher, and then a V-trigger double super kick combo from the Elite. Escalera from Nick to Davis on the outside. The Bucks set up for the Meltzer driver, but Ospreay blocks it with an Oscutter.
In midair, catches him.
Yes.
Yeah. Shout out PWG, similar to their match with the Bucks and Ospreay. But yeah, this is just going crazy. Trying to write notes of a match like this, Kyle. This is nuts.
It's insane. Fletcher and Ospreay hit a Meltzer driver of their own, but with a bit of a shooting star twist to it.
PWG.
1, 2, kick out, and then Fletcher eats a triple super kick from the Elite. Ospreay is trying to fight them all off, but there's an indie taker from the Elite, but Ospreay isn't the legal man. We then get a V-trigger from Omega to Fletcher, followed by the one-winged angel, and Omega pins Kyle Fletcher in 18 minutes, 54 seconds.
This match is crazy. Look where Kyle Fletcher is now. Like we're seeing the evolution of him, and he's becoming like a huge main eventer and a solid in-ring performer. But even way back here, he was on it. And the same with Mark Davis. Just love these guys, and especially the pairing with Ospreay. They go hand in hand. So Ospreay at this level is now what we've seen with other wrestlers, where they're bringing in, what did Kenny say? Bringing in your mates, I guess. But like for the better, like he's brought in people, and look what those people have done, right? So it has worked. But the Bucks wrestling with Ospreay is a treat every time we get to see it, whether it's PWG or AEW or New Japan. But this match was just, all 6 guys are incredibly talented. You have the Elite, who at this point are, they're all vets, I guess, at this point. But Bucks and Kenny especially are a lot older than these group of guys, and they just have impeccable chemistry. And I would love to see this match run back in like 2026 or 2027, because it's like they'd all be evolved into like the next stage, where maybe the Bucks and Kenny are at like the twilight of their career, and now Ospreay and Aussie Open are like just completely different from where they looked here. But I remember when this match happened, and I think we didn't know. Okay, we kind of knew we were going to go towards a Kenny Ospreay AEW match, but this was the closest thing that we got to it. So I remember rewatching this one quite a few times and just loving it. So I don't know if I go full 5 stars on this one, but just a little notch below the last Ospreay Tanahashi tag. So I'm somewhere in between like a 4.75 up tick, but really love this match.
Yeah, I love it. I went 4.25 on this one. It's great. I think I enjoyed the tag matches from earlier a little bit more. But it's great stuff. It's a shame, like, I mean, obviously both are thriving right now, but Aussie Open as a tag team in AEW, just it never really worked out due to injuries and then, you know, kind of being fed to MJF at All In and that kind of stuff. And it's great to see them like thriving now. But I agree, I'd love to see this match recreated at some point.
Yeah, it was a great teaser for like what was to come. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
And I just remember when the graphic came up, it's like, shit, we're getting that next week on TV. That's nuts. Yeah. Meltzer gave this 4.75, cage match 8.68. Now, we go forwards, and we're back in Japan at the New Japan Pro Wrestling Time Stardom historic crossover or X-over on November 20th, 2022 at the Ariake Arena in Tokyo. Will Ospreay defeating Red Shoe's son, Shota Umino, for the in just a match. But he was being brutal, if I remember, doing lots of elbows to the back of the head and all that. When after the match, as Ospreay's celebrating, the lights go off and Kenny Omega appears on the screen for the first time in years in New Japan. And he starts off by cutting a promo in Japanese. He says, "It's been a long time, New Japan. Once AEW started, nothing was keeping me in Japan. Who was my replacement? It had to be the masterful William Ospreay. And how did that turn out? Take a look at him. The crowds are smaller. You can't hear people cheering. Oh, but that's because of the pandemic. That's the line you trot out. But is it really? The real virus here is you, Will. You and all your auto-translate foreign pals. All of you are second-rate Kenny Omega knockoffs." And I was surprised I got the call from New Japan. And to be honest, I'm not really interested. But one more time, for the fans, for the good of pro wrestling. And then he switches over to English. And let's have a little listen.
I haven't forgotten what she's done, and I'm coming for you. Wrestle Kingdom will. I'll be there. So then, I must bid you adieu. Goodbye, you, and good night.
Kind of similar when Jericho did the attack on Kenny and then like the videos and stuff like that. But now it's kind of Kenny is the outsider, the part-timer outsider coming in to challenge Will here. I love that line of the auto translate because like never forget the video where Kenny just starts speaking Japanese and the roar, when people realized that he was fluent in Japanese, and then from then on he used to cut a lot of his promos in Japanese. So instantly being like, oh, your numbers were down because it was pandemic. Fake news. Also, you guys can't even speak Japanese.
The real virus is you, Will.
Yeah, that was pretty good, actually. Okay, look, Kenny Omega, my favorite, but I can also agree that he's not usually the best talker when it comes to wrestling. But Kenny Omega's promos in Japanese, something about that just makes it a whole lot better, I guess. But yeah, loved this video. But there's one piece that we didn't mention there. The one thing that Kenny Omega can never forget, what you did to me, what you took from me, Will. And it's kind of what they use into this storyline. We mentioned the beginning of the one Wrestle Kingdom where Ospreay debuted the Hidden Blade, taking out Kota Ibushi. And Kenny Omega never got to say goodbye to Kota Ibushi in Japan because Kota was taken out from that move. And now they're weaving this into the storyline a little bit. It's pretty interesting.
Will grabs the mic in the ring.
The way I see it, he left and I stayed. And I stayed when he got burned and I kept the heartbeat going. So if you want to come back, be my guest. Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, Wrestle Kingdom.
And we knew we were going to eat good. We knew. We were like, oh, finally, we're getting this. And Tokyo, oh my God, we looked at flights. They were too insane. Post-COVID world, we were like, this is impossible. But oh my gosh, what a match. We eating good.
Ospreay then is backstage following these comments in the like presser. And he says, surprise, surprise, the golden boy has come back. Anyone else think that this is a tiny bit convenient? As soon as New Japan starts picking itself up, now people want to come back. He goes, people took money, but there's no loyalty. And now people want to come back. And you know what people have been saying? That in wrestling this whole time, I've been wrestling in Kenny Omega's shadow. And well, let's have a little listen to Ospreay here talking about the shadow of Kenny Omega.
My best work has been in your shadow. And why the bright lights of AEW hides your shadow. All this shadow's been doing is putting on live performances, making sure that New Japan has a pulse. Hey, if any Westerners don't watch New Japan, and if they only hear about what the stuff that's happening in New Japan, it's because of me. Because I put in the effort, and I keep going and going and going. And I am at my best that I have ever been. And I have done it in your shadow. And now, funny enough, the moment those AEW lights start turning off and going dim, you started noticing your shadow again. And you notice that this shadow is almost as big as you are. And if you don't come back to January the 4th, you don't come back to Japan to stop me, then what's going to happen? Because the sands of time are running out for me and New Japan Pro Wrestling. Will I stay and will I go? Who knows? But I have stayed. And I have stayed and I've gotten better and better. And I want to say it, I think I'm better than you. So when you come over to Japan and you perform in the pandemic era of Japanese wrestling, there's no crowds cheering your name. There's just this. That's it. And you're going to be left alone in the dark with your shadow. And your shadow's going to be shit talking. And he's going to be saying that I'm better than you. And you'll hear one other voice. And that's the referees counting 1, 2, 3. And I will stand over you. The shadow will stand over you. And I will say, I am better than Kenny Omega.
Cast no shadow.
Like this is really where Ospreay starts stepping up in the promos, right?
1000%.
And like, you can tell he's just completely dialed into this. I will say, like, it's from his announcement in the ring and this backstage thing, he sounds like a massive babyface, which is not the character he's been playing. And I would say that was maybe a little criticism of just his positioning around this time. It felt strange. But he does go on to say at the end of this promo, like, you told me to stand up. I have fucking stepped up. And now you're in my playground. And I've given sacrifice after sacrifice for this place. New Japan has a new top star. His name is Will Ospreay. He cracks open a beer, a Sapporo, and he says, before the United Empire and all the money and all of this, I was an assassin. Maybe it's time to bring him back. So it sounds like he's announcing almost like, I'm going to be the old Will Ospreay for this match. And none of this United Empire bullshit to go to the Tokyo Dome.
I think as fans, we've been waiting for this big match and big moment, and having Kenny come back, it felt like finally like a step in the right direction for at least New Japan and coming out of the pandemic and having crowds and everything. And it felt proper. And it felt like a bit of an old school thing. Like, okay, these two characters have leveled up. Kenny has left, went to AEW, became champion, all this, but coming back, he still felt like it was a big deal being this, like, you know, return to Japan and for the Tokyo Dome. But Ospreay totally stepped up. If it wasn't this promo, it's the one that we're going to talk about in a second. And it's like, that's where now people realize he's not just this flippy person. And at this point, if you were still like, oh, he's just the guy who does backflips and flips, it's like, he wasn't even that guy at this point. He's definitely not the guy in
No, he was
2026.
being violent now. Like the Oki match was violent. The Showdown match was violent. Like he was being a lot nastier.
Strong
essentially
style.
Since that hidden blade, right?
Yeah. So the story goes like he's leveled up, and also in his promo game, and the classic tale of just, you know, at this point, people were saying Kenny Omega is the best wrestler alive, and hot in his second place was Will Ospreay. And the argument is, well, Will Ospreay is doing still some crazy, insane stuff while Kenny's doing maybe one match, 2 matches a year or whatever. It was like an interesting comparison. So fans, we just wanted to see them fight. So the tweets that we mentioned earlier, like all that stuff, all the time that's gone by was the story really
it
going
feels
into
real.
this.
And
it felt real.
I like the approach to this because it's not, you know, North American TV wrestling. Like we're going to move on now to an interview with Sports Illustrated, which really drives the story forward. So he says, this is with Kenny in Sports Illustrated, and the title is Kenny Omega returns to AEW in stunning manner at Full Gear. But he talks about New Japan and says, I'm returning to New Japan as an ambassador of AEW. I'm returning to New Japan as an ambassador of pro wrestling. I'm returning home. I left to start this new exciting opportunity, but it's still home. Now, the things Will can do are things I cannot. He's an athletic phenom, but as finely tuned as he is physically, he still doesn't have the knowledge or experience. And I pushed my own physical boundaries in All Japan and DDT, but that's not what I'm known for. My mind is my greatest asset, not my athleticism. And that's what's allowed Tanahashi to have such a long and flavorful career. I needed someone to take my place in New Japan. I wanted someone to take my place, and it was Will. Jay White and Kota Ibushi. Will is the only one to have a problem with that. And I had to speak in Japanese to remind him that he doesn't have home court advantage. This is still my home.
That's pretty great. Yeah. Using all of these things, interviews with Sports Illustrated, the years of Twitter beef, like there's all this story and buildup of people like, wait a second, there is some merit to that. You are his replacement, and he's saying you weren't even a good one. You weren't even a good replacement. So I got to come back and take what's rightfully mine. Remind the people of Japan that I am still one and only Kenny Omega, and you'll always be in my shadow. It's some great storytelling, even though people say there isn't great storytelling in other wrestling companies. But yeah.
There's then a great sit-down interview with him where he brings up losing to Tanahashi. He says he was meant to headline Madison Square Garden, but things changed. And he says after he lost his match to Tanahashi, he saw tears in the eyes of everyone. And it hurt him because he realized they were tears of joy because they were happy to see Tanahashi win and happy to see him lose. And they didn't see his vision. So he realized it was time to move on and try something else. And he said, I've always tried to master all types of wrestling. And the one type of wrestling I didn't master was like North American TV wrestling. He asks his thoughts on Will and whether Will's changed over the years. And he says he used to be a guy that just does flips and tricks, and I didn't think much of him. But when he started filling his shoes, I saw him taking things more seriously and getting the jobs done, and I'm proud of him. But just because you're tasked with filling them doesn't mean you can wear them. And says he pities Will now for trying to convince everyone that he is me, because he's not trying to convince anyone that he is anyone else. He's saying there's only one Kenny Omega. And there was an interesting point here that I'm going to play where he's asked about Ospreay pursuing Okada, just like Omega did back in the day.
So I'm starting to hear all these stories. Well, I want to do what Kenny did. I want to attempt to live the lifestyle that Kenny lived. I first heard that with Mox back in AEW when we started. He said, I want to live a month in Kenny's shoes. I want to try G1. I want to see what's so tough about it. How did that go for you, pal? Didn't even make top 4. Certainly didn't make the finals, and certainly did not win the tournament on his first effort like I did. Will, of course, thinking that that's a good approach, thinking that maybe he's going to be the exception to the rule, thinks that maybe he can do it the way that Mox could not, thinking that he could do it the way that Jay could not, thinking that he could do it the way that I did. The G1 was a miss. Okada didn't go so well either. So why is it that no one can do what I can do? Well, so many reasons, but I mean, the big one, Will, it's up here. It's what you don't got upstairs. I'm not going to credit it to your athletic ability. You have oodles of that. Experience, yeah, experience plays a factor, but when you have so much ability, you can push past that. What you lack, Will, is your mind. You're unstable. You're unintelligent. That's why you fail.
Calling Will dumb?
Yeah, so it becomes a big factor in the press conference. He's said a few times you don't have the mental capacity to be able to be the top guy. He's you've got everything, you're athletically gifted, but you don't have that mental stamina, which is quite interesting and definitely feeds the press conference. He also talks about the US Championship. He's kind of saying that championship was created for him, and at the time he was putting on the best matches. He says the belt is just on loan to Will and it's going to come back to the rightful owner. And he talks about his return, says the struggle with New Japan wasn't the pandemic, it was the lack of Kenny Omega. There's been a lack of charisma, match quality, and eyes on the product, and no one is talking about New Japan. They need a reason to cheer and be happy and buy tickets to a show. And he puts over AEW being the thing to watch. And he says you can watch it on Fight or have it translated on New Japan World. But we're moving away from the experimental project of Will Ospreay. You did great, but not good enough. And you're going to have to move on because the king is back.
I like in that same interview, he's like, look, all these people, including you, Ospreay, you're trying so hard to be me. You can do these big matches. You could do these spectacular athletic feats. But there's I think he uses the caramel secret. You know, everyone can go try to do these crazy moves and everything, but there's that one little thing and you just can't figure it out. I love that because also a Canadian caramel. No one ever knows. How do they get it in there? We don't know how he does these one-winged angels and all these things. But I like this side of Kenny Omega. He feels like when he's in his wheelhouse and comfortable, almost like a Japanese Canadian mob boss, you know, especially when he speaks in Japanese, that's at his prime.
I think it also feels real, right? I think I do believe he was maybe hurt that people were happy to see him leave. I do believe that. I mean, we were all talking about it during that time with New Japan, and we were willing it to be what it used to be, but it just wasn't. So I believe a lot of the comments, and I think this is why he comes across quite well in this compared to some other times he's cutting promos.
Yeah.
But then we have the January 3rd press conference, which is definitely where Ospreay levels up. You have Kenny, who speaks for the Japanese for quite a while. He says he's returned home, so wants to speak in Japanese. Calls himself the vaccine they need, and the Ospreay virus will be eradicated, and congratulates Will on winning the Best Bout award, and basically gives him an attaboy here, but says it will be Ospreay's first and last Wrestle Kingdom main event. Don Callis speaks and says, the day Kenny Omega left Japan, it was raining, and it was raining because God was crying. And you see Omega, who's wiping tears under his sunglasses. He brings up Jericho and Omega making history 5 years ago, and now they have a chance to do it again. But it isn't for money or a test. It's to create history. and says Ospreay might be one of the greatest athletes he's ever seen, but the NBA has been filled with great athletes, but there's only one Michael Jordan, and what made him special is his mind. And he says, you have the athletic edge, but what you lack is your mind. And tomorrow at the Tokyo Dome, you're not just in the ring with the former IWGP World Champion, US Champion, AEW Champion, and your idol, Kenny Omega. You're in the ring with the god of pro wrestling. You're a once-in-a-generation athlete and a great person, but you're not in the ring with an athlete. You're in the ring with a god. And I hate to think what your mental state will be in when you lose to Kenny, by God, Omega.
Kenny, by God. When Callis is translating and is saying, and you're a great person, you see Kenny go, well, actually, I didn't say that part.
Yeah.
I thought that was funny. I love Kenny speaking Japanese. He's got this Japanese lady with the face mask also trying to like do translating and stuff. And then Callis is there in his sunglasses. Yeah, it was pretty great with these two. Oh, and Kenny's hair. You know, we talk about like New Japan Kenny is the ultimate like Super Saiyan version, but he went and got his hair extensions, I'm sure, set for this and the dye jobs. Because I remember being like, oh shit, he dyed his hair and everything. Okay, we're getting the real cleaner back with this one. But then Ospreay flips the script here, I'd say, with this promo.
Yeah, I think what makes this even better, and I'm going to play Kenny's little comment, but Ospreay can't get the microphone to work, which just, I think, gives him that extra bit of anger, like, because he's pissed off from this, that just fuels the promo, but we'll have a listen.
It's got this button here, Will. You just press the button. No, fucking listen to me. Don, first of all, you kind of little cunt. Shut your fucking mouth. Listen to me now. You have no fucking idea the mental state. You want to know my mental state, bruv? Mental state, you got to sit in your house and then do maximum, 3-hour drive to Florida. That's all you had to do during this. Mate, for me, right, it's a 12-hour flight from England all the way, right? But guess what? That turned into a 15-and-a-half-hour flight. Why? Because there's a fucking war going on in Russia and in Ukraine. And then after that, I was carted around the fucking airport for 4 hours because I had to prove that I was negative for COVID, even though I had a fucking doctor's note saying that I didn't have it. Then that wasn't good enough. Then I had to stay 14 fucking days in a hotel no bigger than a broom cupboard, bruv. 14 days of your own fucking brain. And then you're allowed to go out and go wrestle for everyone in silence without seeing any fucking daylight for 2 weeks. The shows would fucking end at 9 p.m. Restaurants would close at 8, so you were starving off your fucking roster, but we kept fucking going. Listen to me, I don't understand. And I don't know why anyone would want to watch clap crowd wrestling. I don't know anyone that wants to watch that, but people fucking turned up. So for that, I had to fight, and for you to fucking sit there and belittle me, you little cunt. How fucking dare you? You have not the slightest idea what I've gone through. My best friend fucking died, and I had to watch his funeral through a fucking iPad, bruv. How dare you sit there and belittle anything that I have fucking done to try and help? I get it, you're a big star, you're a fucking draw for this place. You have brought everyone, all the casual fans and all those Kenny Omega stands back to New Japan. Thank you so much. Because now they're going to watch you go down to me. The guy that's fucking stayed here, the guy that has given his fucking all to this place, mate. I listened to every fucking word that you told me 4 years ago. And I'm telling you now, I'm sorry for what happened to him. And I am sorry I took that away from you. But make no mistake about it. If you find yourself in that same position that he did, there isn't going to be a referee stopping me from caving your fucking head in, bruv. You will not belittle me on the grandest stage that I am on. This is my moment now, so you're either going to pass this torch or I am going to fucking take it from you.
Great promo.
Great stuff.
Like the passing of the torch, right?
Yeah.
You either pass it, I'm taking it from you, which is fantastic. Exactly how we feel is watching this as fans. Like, hey, Kenny's been at that level and Ospreay is just there, you know, is that baton, is that torch going to be passed at some point? And there's questions of, we've seen them tango a few times in tag team matches. Okay, the PWG match, let's pretend it didn't happen. But it has been that thing in our minds of like the torch being passed. And here he says, no, I'm going to take it from you. So yeah, I thought this was the promo that showed me Ospreay is not just this 19-year-old skinny flippy bellend. He is a complete package in the world of pro wrestling. The in-ring athletic ability and the promo skill, the mind, if you will, because I thought this was the promo that definitely set him in the next level for sure.
Again, it sounded from the heart. It sounded real. Like I think he genuinely had all those frustrations. I think, a little bit later when, Triple H made the comment about some people just don't want it enough.
They run from the grind. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And Ospreay is like,
I fucking kidding me? Like,
grind. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
So I think the like it just worked great with the the belittling and the targeting the mind stuff, and Ospreay like bringing up everything. But Kenny is such a dick in his response because he basically says, well, sounds like a you problem. And he says, what you did to me made it personal. What you did to my friend is personal, but this is strictly business. And all the people watching at the Tokyo Dome, seeing you are not quite ready to take my torch yet. And says, I thank those people for the money and for the tickets. And then finishes with this.
Paying a money for a subscription. And then maybe next year, or maybe at the year after that, you can have another crack at it. But this year, it's not your time. That's what I came back to prove. And if you want to prove me wrong, I'm standing right here, and I'm going to be across that ring from you tomorrow. So I urge you, I know you're mad, and you've got a lot of frustrations. Don't ruin that main event now. You've got a free shot if you want it, but I beg you, Will, save all that energy. Save all that hatred. Show me just how mad you are tomorrow. Show me how much you want it. And I'm going to show you just how bad I want to keep it.
Great stuff. Yeah, it got me I was already hyped for this match, but I remember watching this being like, oh, damn, both of them. Again, I think already some of my favorite wrestlers, two of my favorite all-timers. I don't usually think they're top of the promo game, but this was one of the best like press conferences. Obviously, they're speaking in English to go to New Japan. Sometimes the guys who are beefing with each other are not speaking in English, so I can't necessarily connect as much with it. But here, I just thought both guys came across as fantastic characters, and I could not wait for that match.
It works so well with them not being in the same company, not having promo battles every week, but having like the interviews with Kenny Omega and this press conference setting and even the Twitter beef and stuff. I think it worked really well for this story, and just kind of the state of wrestling and New Japan as well is kind of the underlying thing here, and a lot of truths being said. And New Japan wasn't the same after Kenny left, really. So yeah, great stuff.
The iPad thing is crazy though. To be frank, like he says his friend died, and then he's got to not even be there because of COVID and all that stuff, that he had to be there on an iPad. Like I remember going to a funeral just, kind of as COVID was winding down. And I remember our family had to have an iPad for certain people that weren't allowed to come to this thing. And I remember other family members were not able to be there for that kind of thing. So I definitely feel that is crazy. Yeah. Super crazy. So.
And for Kenny to then be like, sounds like a you problem.
Yeah, that's your problem. That had nothing to do with me.
My best friend died and I watched it through an iPad. And you go, sounds like a you.
Yeah, but you gave Kota a Hidden Blade those like 4 years ago. Yeah. I'm still kind of mad about that.
I'm still mad because I didn't say goodbye, even though I
could have flown back.
Just see him whenever.
Changed my flight.
I didn't have to fly home the next day, did I? I could have just gone and seen Kota in the hospital.
Kenny, I'll tell you right now, all you need to do, Kenny, if you want to talk to Kota Ibushi, go on Instagram, because he's probably on Instagram Live right now.
I talked to him the other night.
I talk to Kota Ibushi every day. That is not even a joke. He just literally is always on Instagram Live, and he's always down to say hi.
Doing power bombs, but with no one, just like going, like hoisting up his arms, going power bomb. And I was like, do a one-winged angel. So he goes, one-winged angel.
Well, the other day when I was
Ridiculous.
on there talking to him, he was driving, and I was like, "Hey, man, can you please be careful?
Be
Can you
careful.
not be driving? What? Should you even be driving? And if you are, why are you on your Instagram live?" Anyways, yeah.
We move forward to January 4th, Wrestle Kingdom 17 in the Tokyo Dome. It's the IWGP US Championship. Will Ospreay defending against Kenny, by God, Omega. Kenny comes out with his goofy video game entrance.
You know what? I don't like that theme song, but I do at least, I liked it when he used it once, and then he continued using that Final Fantasy type theme, and I wasn't the biggest fan of.
This was a different one to the one he used last year.
This is the actual Final Fantasy theme. I'm pretty sure that he's using, like, this is an already used theme. They didn't make this one for him. So that's probably why you're saying this sounds better. This one is, he looks like leveled up, like this super villain at the end of your video game. This is the final boss version of Kenny Omega. He's got this insane gear, and then he lifts his one arm, and then the screen has the giant one-winged angel thing, and then the camera pan where he like turns and grins at the camera. Like, this motherfucker's evil. This is the biggest evil villain in a Japanese video game here, and Will Ospreay's got to go up against him. So I know it's not Battle Cry, because I do think that is a perfect entrance theme, but this was still a pretty epic entrance.
If Kenny doesn't use Battle Cry at Wembley,
he's insane.
Be fucking pissed.
At least go into Battle Cry, you know, like do the video game stuff as the intro and then go into it. But yeah.
So Ospreay then, remember, like, he's been having his like different theme that he was using during his heel United Empire run, but said he had to bring the assassin back. And this was the debut of like the piano intro to Elevated, which I really love. And any piano version of wrestling themes I always think's cool. Before it goes into the proper Elevated theme, Will Ospreay coming out with the rest of United Empire, and I just wish Chris Charlton would shut the fuck up during this entrance.
Fair enough. Yeah, you know what? He is good, but he can be bad when he does that. He talks over a lot of stuff and moments and stuff that maybe he should take a back seat every few seconds or something. Because, you know, watching him back and watching these matches, I do think he's great, especially being able to translate and all that stuff. But there is every few moments where I'm like, why are you talking right now? Stop. Let it breathe.
It's at least wait for, you know, him to then be walking down the aisle before you're giving like the facts and stuff. But like, just let the moment on the stage like breathe a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh well.
It looked cool with all the guys in the fog and the piano and everything. Like, really one of the cooler Ospreay entrances. And again, I do hope he brings back the piano entrance for Wembley as well. But I imagine a giant UK coat that we've seen him wear before too.
Fireworks and everything, and just us all singing along.
The king.
The bell rings, and Ospreay immediately charges at Omega. Omega sidesteps him. I noticed they're both wearing very similar gear here, like the black and gray rather than the like
it's great
Empire green or the purple. So
yeah, they both look really good.
I think
again,
that's
leveled up,
right? Like to kind of show maybe that they're similar.
We're not so different, you and I.
Yeah. Kenny grabs a wrist lock and continues to smack Ospreay on the head, like belittling him, kind of like the beginning of their PWG match. There's shoulder blocks from Ospreay, but he keeps kipping right back up. Both are trading slaps, and Ospreay catches one, which seems to rock Kenny. Ospreay then sends Omega to the floor and follows up with a plancha, just immediately followed with some punches to the face, and then Irish whips Omega into the barricade. Kenny then shoves Ospreay off the apron, and he goes crashing into the barricade, and we get a second rope moonsault from Kenny for a 2. Omega then removes the turnbuckle pad and sends Ospreay back first into it. And this is the beginning of starting attacking the back of Ospreay, who he's had troubles with over the years. Ospreay fights back, hitting a big boot, and then a stun dog millionaire does his step-up flip off the chest, followed by a step-up enziguri, goes the Os cutter to the apron, but Omega grabs the rope, and this causes Ospreay to crash back first onto the most difficult part of the ring. Ospreay is now selling the back, and Omega sets a table on top of Ospreay. And this is what a callback to the Jericho match. Does the double stomp off the apron through the table. And then Kenny can't help himself. He grabs the table, peers through the hole, and goes, "Here's Kenny." Just
love it. This was a memeable Kenny Omega moment here that around this time I bought a pin maker, which some of you listeners have our Poison Rana pins, but I have a bunch that I made to test out my maker, and it was with this image of Kenny with his face through the table. It's so funny, but yeah, he's beating the hell out of him with this thing.
Ospreay then comes back with a suplex onto the underside of the table, which just looked like onto that metal frame, just looked so horrible. Climbs up the top and delivers a beautiful sky twister press. Goes for the Oscutter, but this gets blocked, and Kenny delivers a V-trigger to the back, followed by the Poison Rana, followed by the hooked leg Sushi Giroshi, as we call it, for a 2 count. And this too, Ospreay just gets the shoulder up. No, like, big kick out, just a little raise of the shoulder. Omega then sets up for an avalanche snapdragon, throws Ospreay off, who lands on his feet, and immediately follows up with the Robinson special and an Oscutter. Fantastic sequence here.
Insane, yeah.
They then fight on the top rope, and Omega delivers a DDT on top of the exposed turnbuckle, which was just nasty.
Oh, so is this Kenny hitting the DDT to him?
Kenny hitting it to Ospreay, and I think they say this is a callback to the Naito match. I think he does this.
Yeah, he's done this, and think like both these guys have done the Brainbusters similar type move here. It was very similar, but also right before is when it was the Cheeky Nando's, and I think that's when he pops Kenny in the eye. So Kenny is like pretty much blinded in one eye after that spot. So this is just sequence after sequence of these guys killing each other. Very, very cool.
Ospreay is now a bloody mess, and Kenny just grabs his head and repeatedly puts it through the table. He's just bullying Ospreay at this point. Hits a Snapdragon, and Ospreay's body is limp. He looks concussed. There's another Snapdragon. Open palm strikes and knees to the ribs, followed by a J Driller from Kenny. 1, 2, and Will just gets his foot on the ropes. So Kenny then drops Ospreay headfirst onto the exposed turnbuckle again. Another V trigger, and then hits a devastating Kreutz Wrath, the electric chair into the high German suplex off the second rope.
Oh my God.
Just crazy.
Yeah, even Red Shoes is like, "Yo, man, should I just stop this match? Like, I think it's over. Yeah, I think we should stop this." And Kenny's like, "Fuck off! I'm killing him right now."
Ospreay kicks out, and in kicking out, kind of flips backwards onto his knee. But Omega immediately follows up with a V trigger to the face, another V trigger. Ospreay still won't go down. He's staggering around, and Omega starts boxing, firing punches. Ospreay fires back with some Kawada kicks and chops, but Omega delivers a big lariat, which Will flips over the arm into a Liger bomb for a 2 count. He hits the hidden blade to the back of a standing Omega, a hidden blade to the face, and a super Oscutter. Will sets up for the Stormbreaker, but that gets blocked. There's a winged angel attempt that gets transitioned into a Styles Clash from Ospreay, and then the hidden blade to the face, but Omega is still not going down. There's a forearm exchange, and Omega has wrist control. You realize Ospreay realizes it's all over. He spits at Omega and says, "Fuck you," as Kenny delivers the Kamigoye and the one-winged angel, becoming your US champion in 34 minutes, 38 seconds.
Oh, man, what a match. I mean, one hell of a match here. Both guys going absolutely balls to the wall. I was so upset that I didn't go watch this match live, only to a few months later be very excited that they would bring it to me in my own city of Toronto. But watching this, I've watched it back so many times. It's such an incredible match. They literally can match each other's freaks with all the different sequences and counters and knowing each other's moves. Like, two of these guys are considered at the top of the game in the industry of pro wrestling, and here they are going against each other. It's like you could literally watch them wrestle for an hour and probably not be bored of the stuff that they could come up with. Just some of these sequences. Oh, the Styles Clash getting the huge reaction at the Tokyo Dome with the AJ shout out there. But just some of these callbacks were great. The Kamigoye being the one thing that catches them, which is in kayfabe, I guess the whole reason how we got here is you tale as old as time. We always say if you attack someone's wife or attack someone's golden lover, they're going to get revenge. And that's basically what it all came down to, is that Kamigoye with the spit in the face and the one-winged angel. I just love this match so much. There's so much to go in, and the violence is definitely escalated too between the two. But yeah, just Pokemon evolutions of where these two have come since that first PWG match. And they come out here just absolutely killing each other for our entertainment. And I love it.
It's a lot more one-sided than I remember. And if this was the only match they ever had, it would be almost disappointing for that way. But I think as kind of chapter 1, it works so well storytelling-wise, where Ospreay isn't ready. Kenny is still the man. And Kenny even like young boying him at times, you know, like patting him on the head earlier in the match and then just bullying the fuck out of him. The repeated like headshots through the table and just how destroyed Will looks and just defiant, keeps on fighting back, and then, you know, knowing it's the end towards the end of the match. And I thought for chapter 1, it's fantastic. It's such a great match. And it was definitely the match of Wrestle Kingdom that year.
Oh, easily. Like I think it's the match of the year voted in a lot of different, you know, websites or whatnot. I'm not sure where it ranked because of certain rematches that I'm sure we're going to talk about, but that'll be the one argument, I guess, is do you like this one more than you like the one in Toronto? And maybe we'll soon talk about the one in Wembley as well. But this is just an incredible match. And yeah, watching it back after a few years have gone by, it's crazy that it's really just Kenny whooping his ass. It's Kenny whooping feet here, just beating the brakes off Billy Boy, and then wins. The whole story of like, you couldn't fill my shoes is, you know, I think that was it. Look, Kenny's like, look, man, I didn't beat Okada at Wrestle Kingdom that first try. I'll let you win the feud, the rivalry. When all the dust settles, you will be my replacement. You will be the torchbearer. But our big match at Tokyo Dome, nah, bro, I'm kicking your fucking ass. And that was probably the agreement that they had. All for those tweets all those years ago, Will. No. You're not beating me. I'm sorry. I don't necessarily think Kenny Omega is the biggest politician in wrestling, but I would imagine this would have been the one time to be like, you're not beating me.
I mean, I think he sees the bigger picture as well.
Exactly.
Like, and as he says, it's like, you know, in the presser, it's like, maybe that day will come, like maybe in a year or 2 years or 3 years, but not today. And,
not today.
You know, we'll get into the set. Obviously, Will does win the second match, but there's an asterisk, a caveat there. So, easy 5 stars from me.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like we've done a lot of Pod's Best Match Ever series where we usually just say 5 is our thing, but this would make me want to push the 5 envelope. Like this, if I'm comparing this to a match I've called 5 stars, it's a 5.5 from me. Like this goes beyond, you know, when you like are ready, so hyped for a match. I remember this was a match where we stayed up. I remember you went to bed and you said you were tapping out. We were watching Wrestle Kingdom live at our new apartment where you still live when we were roommates. And you were like, I can't do it. I have to go to sleep. I think you were maybe working the day before. You're like, I can't stay up. But if you are, wake me up for the match and I'll come back and watch it with you. So I was like, okay. And then our friend Big Tom was supposed to come over too, but then he fell asleep. But then he woke up and got in an Uber at like 4:30 in the morning and came to our house as I'm waking your ass up. I'm like, wake up. Kenny Omega's coming out to Final Fantasy shit. Wake up. So we all were at our house at like God's hour of the morning watching this.
I'm going, guys, shut the fuck up. It's 4 in the morning.
Yeah.
As you're both freaking out over
If you've ever listened to me get excited like I am right now during this podcast, you should watch wrestling with me, because sometimes I get very animated and loud and explosive and all that. So I just remember being like, wow, we stayed up and it was totally worth it. And then when a match or something is so good, I think the next day I had to put it on again just to be like, was it that good, or was I just smoking something
delirious at that time? It's like,
yeah, exactly.
Watch that again.
Yeah, I was like, I feel like I need to watch it again, and then I didn't. I was like, no, this was something special for sure. So, a classic from me, honestly, like an amazing professional wrestling match we just talked about.
Meltzer gave this 6.25.
Wow.
Cage Match has it at a 9.74.
So is he saying this is better than Kenny Okada at Wrestle Kingdom? That's what he's saying. I don't know. Is it?
So
is it up there?
the final Dominion match got 7, right? And I think the first got 6. I can't remember.
Wow. Yeah. He broke his own scale, I guess. But I would say this breaks a scale for me. Like, if you're comparing this to a lot of other 5-star matches, like, this one is just so good that it is superior than a lot. If someone were to say this is their favorite match ever, I don't know if I'd argue that. I'd say, yeah, you're totally on the right course.
So New Japan sets up a little mini tournament to determine the challenger for the United States Championship. Ospreay beats Hiroshi Tanahashi in the semifinal match at New Japan Resurgence at Long Beach, California on May 21st. Granddad's birthday, rest in peace. And then in the final, beats Lance Archer at Dominion at Osaka-jo Hall on June 4th. And then we have some official announcements from the office of New Japan. We get the Danielson-Okada match announced for Forbidden Door. And then on June 6th, Ospreay versus Omega 2 is announced. And we get this little word from William Ospreay.
What people need to understand is what this match actually means to me. At the Tokyo Dome, I got embarrassed, humiliated by the returning prodigal son. You have no idea what that did to me. My family was at home watching me be desecrated by you, bruv. So now I've got to repay the favor. Do you know what this is about? This is about redemption, bruv. This is about revenge. So that's what it's all about. In Toronto, your home country, home soil for you, bruv. I'm going to do the exact same thing you did to me. This is fucking personal, bruv.
It's fucking personal, bruv. I mean, it is. Boy whooped your ass. You gotta get some revenge on that one, man. Like, I've seen the movies. If that was the end of movie 1, like, you gotta get your lick back, Will. You gotta get some of the United Empire Strikes Back, because this Kenneth embarrassed you. This guy put his own face through the table that he put your head through and smiled and made it a meme. So, like, you were expecting a receipt, and I think this was maybe we were in our own element here, because as fans, they had announced Forbidden Door in Toronto, our home city, literally 4 minutes from our apartment. What is the arena? And we were like, sick, we're getting this match. And then they just threw the graphic out on AEW TV of like, yo, you're getting this match. And I just remember, like, time stood still, like, oh shit. I was so upset that I didn't go to Japan to go watch this match, and now they're literally bringing it to...
Now we can just walk down the road for it.
Yeah, to the arena right here.
I think all the Forbidden Door shows have ended up being fantastic after the fact, but I think this was the best one.
Absolutely.
The first one, like, ended up being a really good show, and I know there were a couple of, like, injuries and things that kind of forced things to be shaken up. I don't think Danielson was healthy, and I don't think Kenny was healthy for the first one. And it ended up being a fun show, but it was a lot of 6-man tags and things, and it was like, come on, this wasn't the dream AEW versus New Japan show we were hoping for. And they corrected that right away, because this was like a month out or whatever, and it was like, these are the 2 big matches you're getting. You're getting Okada Danielson, you're getting Omega Ospreay too. And we're like, cool, I don't care what else is on that show.
Yeah.
Like, that is enough for me.
You had my curiosity, now you have my attention, is how I felt with that. I was like, oh my God, yes, absolutely. And think, like, this was COVID really was done. People finally could travel. We had so many friends coming in. We had our post-wrestling Poison Rana Forbidden pour event at Real Sports just beside the Scotiabank Arena, the ACC there. We had a pre-show with John and Wei doing podcasts. We had our wrestling karaoke afterwards. It was honestly one of the best wrestling events I've ever seen. This match is probably the best match I've ever seen live. And it was just one of the best days with like hanging out with friends, podcast listeners, the whole community of wrestling. It was just one of those special events that I will always, always remember. But the cherry on top was this match of like Kenny and Ospreay putting on a classic.
It was as well going to Collision the day before. And as we're having drinks on our rooftop beforehand, we've got the people over. Beautiful day. I hadn't bought tickets yet. Then walking to the arena, I'm like, oh, I've just found second row for $40.
Nice.
So get these tickets. And I think it's me, Golden Graham, and our friend Trav sat second row, all wearing ridiculous sunglasses and like flowery shirts. Didn't realize we are on hard cam the whole show. And Graham is on shrooms.
Probably made Collision worth watching.
If you ever go back and watch that show, CM Punk was still around and we are just hurling abuse at him the whole time and just looked like absolute morons. But
rightfully
great
so.
time. As you said, it felt like the first big event post-COVID where everything's properly open and people were rabid for it. Like people don't really travel like as much to Toronto to watch these events anymore, but that one, everyone was coming from all over. And
we had so many friends. Oh, it made it so special for me. Like, not only did we have like podcast listeners and friends and hangouts, but my friend Daniel, Jonah, they came up to the city. We got to watch the match with like, it's just
Brandon, fist bump Tanahashi.
You see Brandon and our friend Robert and our man Neil, like all throughout the next match we're going to talk about because they're front row. So like, yeah, it was just honestly like, this match is up there as one of my favorite things to rewatch and show people like, hey, if you're into AEW or not sure what they are, watch this match. Again, it's on their YouTube. It's easy to link to people to watch. It's got, at the moment right now, 1.5 million views because it's maybe considered one of the best AEW matches to date at the moment. And I have a special place in my heart for this Forbidden Pour day, but this match specifically, but also how we got here. So we already had the Tokyo Dome match. It was awesome. It delivered. It over-delivered, if that was even possible. And then you remember Will isn't part of AEW. This isn't a story that we can continue, but then we have the Forbidden Door thing. And I just remember when Will Ospreay showed up on a Dynamite and took out Kenny.
Yes. So we're in the Capital One Arena in Washington, D.C., June 14th, 2023. And there's a big sort of beatdown from the Don Callis family. Obviously, Kenny's had his issues with them and Takeshita. So Kenny Omega runs out to confront Takeshita, who has been attacking the Young Bucks. They start brawling. Kenny is left in the ring. He sets up and delivers a V-trigger to Takeshita and turns round. And a wild Will Ospreay has ran in and delivers the hook kick to Kenny and then just says, "Remember Wrestle Kingdom," and delivers a hidden blade to the face. As we end with Ospreay standing tall and Danielson on commentary saying, I think we're looking at the winner at Forbidden Door this Sunday. In a few weeks. So this was a big surprise because no one knew Ospreay was going to be in town for this, and was cool to like heat up this story.
Again, simple. We had a banger a few months ago in a different promotion, but now we're doing a co-produced show where they're going to have the rematch, and out of nowhere, the guy shows up. It was just perfect to set this up. The feud is not that difficult to understand. They're going to beat the shit out of each other. So love it.
Ospreay at this time had been talking a lot of shit online about Canada as well. And, like it seems weird looking back. It's like, Ospreay was MJF for like a couple of weeks for this feud.
Remember Ospreay was a cat at one point too in New Japan? We glazed over that.
That was a while ago,
yeah. But Ospreay all of a sudden was like, yo, Canada sucks. I think he said he went to Niagara Falls and was like, this is garbage. There's nothing here. I think he said Tim Hortons was terrible. I think he was just ripping everything. Ice hockey isn't even a real sport, like all that stuff.
I messaged him asking what his drink would be for our event. And he was kind of like, oh, I like some vodka and fruity, but fuck Canada, basically.
He also
so-
said Bret Hart, all he does is moan. he just like, I can't
Not wrong.
stand Canada. Yeah, I mean, he had some valid points. I'm not gonna lie, even as a Canadian, but yeah.
So the June 21st, 2023 edition of Dynamite, we're at the Wintrust Arena in Chicago, and Alex Marvez is trying to get
Your best mate.
my best mate, Marvez. And he brings up, hey, Ospreay, you've been disparaging Canadians on social media. And Ospreay's like, yeah, I'm going to need some security because I'm going to get bum rushed at the airport. And Don Callis appears and says, AEW aren't going to provide you the security you need. Believe me, I'm hated in Toronto as well. But when I go to Canada, I bring my own military grade security and I will make it available to you. And Ospreay's like, why are you doing this for me? Callis is like, I just want a fair fight, a fair 1, 2, 3. And planting the seeds of Ospreay joining the Don Callis family.
Ah, yes. Don Callis is just like, hey, look, I don't know if you're an evil guy, but I am. And you need to beat Kenny Omega. And I know a whole lot about him. Because, I mean, the time they fought in January, Omega was still with Don Callis. And he was the one talking shit to Ospreay. So obviously Ospreay's a little weary of this. But then Don Callis is like, look, I am Canadian and they still hate me. I think he said Canadians are violent, entitled cowards, just like Americans. I was like, yo, what the You're gonna show up to Pearson Airport in Mississauga and think all these people are just waiting to kill you? That is definitely not. Definitely not the case. I just quickly looked up Will Ospreay hates Canada, and I found the video where he's like, oh, my missus wanted to go to Niagara Falls, and it's like him having this like miserable time. And then someone said, oh, are you having a fun time in Canada? And Ospreay replied, I just found this tweet, I'd rather be at the Performance Center than here. So yeah, he hates Canada.
We then go to the Scotiabank Arena in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, June 25th, 2023. Forbidden Door 2. It is for the IWGP United States Championship. Kenny Omega putting it on the line against Will Ospreay.
Yeah, the one time that at least I can defend, you throw a match graphic up and don't even need to tell me a story, and I'm okay with it. It was definitely how I felt about some of these Forbidden Door matches, specifically this one.
We get a video before Ospreay's entrance talking about high security and protests, and it cuts to Ospreay in a room full of TV screens where he's watching their Wrestle Kingdom match, and he's like turning away as he looks at that DDT to the exposed turnbuckle and his head going through the table. We've got a bit of a different variation of Elevated before going into his main theme. And then Omega comes out to Devil Cry, his New Japan theme instead of Battleground. Will, can we just fucking, in Wembley, get Elevated and get Battle Cry, please? Like, to have the proper match we all need. But this one's okay, I guess.
I do like Devil's Sky. Don't get me wrong. I like Battle Cry.
Devil's Sky, right? Yes.
Yeah. Devil's Sky is definitely, like, I loved it in New Japan and when he used to come out to it, especially at the Tokyo Dome show I went to. But, like, it's a good theme. But I remember popping for this. I think most people just expected Battle Cry, but because it was New Japan, he was able to use this theme song again. So I'll give him a pass for that one. At least it's not the other Final Fantasy shit.
Lots of Ospreay chants, lots of Omega chants. We get a chop exchange, a very early one-winged angel attempt. Omega ducks a roundhouse kick, and then Ospreay, a little callback to their PWG match, pokes Omega in the eyes. And even Shivani's defending it. He's like, hey, do what you got to do.
I didn't quite get that from Shivani. Usually the babyface announcer is like, actually, I'm okay with that. I was like, yo, what
you want to poke a guy in the eye? Yeah, do it. Omega flips over Ospreay in the corner, delivers a Rana, and the You Can't Escape, actually hitting it, follows up with the Terminator dive. But as he's running the ropes, Don Callis grabs his ankle, and Kenny's like, yo, what the fuck? So Paul Turner, the referee, ejects Callis from ringside, but that won't last for long.
He doesn't eject the security guards, though. He's got these two guys that I remember that was the talk of everyone was like, oh, no, we're going to get this like fucky like WWE bullshit with these security guards, but really they were like a red herring just to stand there and do absolutely nothing. They eject Don Callis, but the ref doesn't deject Brandon from New Jersey, who you could see all throughout this match ringside. He should have been kicked out of there.
We get a plancha from Ospreay, followed by a Kataru crusher from Omega. A chop exchange. We get the kick flip, step up, enziguri from Ospreay, and then Omega is draped across the top rope as Ospreay hits the shooting star press to the back. And now, in a little role reversal here, Ospreay starts putting Omega's head repeatedly through the announce table, just like Omega did at Wrestle Kingdom, and then licks the blood, Omega's blood, off his arm as the crowd chant, "You sick fuck!" And Ospreay goes, "Yup." We get.
I love this moment so much. Like, it's so gross, but like, it's great retribution and revenge from that last match where Kenny was putting your head through things, and now he got revenge. And then, like, not only throughout the rest of the match too, there's like blood splatter as well, but this like just a little blood on the arm, and it totally looks like he just didn't even plan this, but does it and gets this crazy reaction that he just loved it. He loved getting called "you sick fuck." He's like, "Yep, yes I am."
We get a V trigger from Ospreay, and then Ospreay grabs a Canadian flag from someone in the front row and does the HBK. He rubs it in his crack. He puts it up his nose and then turns into a huge lariat from Omega. And now Omega wraps the flag around the neck of Ospreay. And kind of like the tag match we saw earlier, starts beeling Ospreay using the flag. Now Ospreay is also a bloody mess. They're fighting on the outside, and Omega is driving Ospreay's head repeatedly into the steel steps and delivers a DDT on top of the steps. And now Ospreay is a bloody mess. Shivani here as well says, "Oh, the DDT on the steps, very like the turnbuckle DDT at Wrestle Kingdom." Kevin Kelly sat on this broadcast. Like, shouldn't this be Kelly's job? Like,
well, he should do a job then.
I'm like, yeah. So Ospreay's now leaking as Omega applies a triangle hold, just squeezing the blood out of his head as he's delivering elbows repeatedly. Ospreay gets out of this by lifting Omega up into a powerbomb, and then a series of German suplexes from Ospreay, followed by a Spanish fly for a 2 count. And then they let the moment breathe as the Scotiabank Arena all get on their feet as they realize they're watching something pretty special here. Ospreay in Canada then applies the sharpshooter. But if that wasn't enough, he then transitions from this to the crossface. And you're getting more "you sick fuck" chants.
I don't know if we knew how to react to this.
I think had he not have done the sharpshooter, I don't think the crowd would have taken it as a callback to Benoit. But the fact he's just done the sharpshooter and then goes into the crossface, it seems quite on the nose, doesn't it?
Right, yeah. Like, we see crossfaces in wrestling all the time but it's just because maybe the gimmick was, "Hey, Canada, sharpshooter. Hey, Canada, crossface." You had some people being like, "Ooh, it's kind of fucked up, dude."
Paying tribute to Edge. You know?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. We get Kawada kicks from Ospreay, some chops. Omega tries to do some chops back, but really has nothing behind it. Omega is now on his knees and he's eating super kicks. Will goes for the Oscutter, but Kenny in midair drills him with a knee to the back of the head and then is able to deliver a Snapdragon. Another one, a V-trigger to the back, a Poison Rana, followed by a spike pile driver. 1, 2, 2.99 as Ospreay kicks out. Omega immediately gets on top of him, hits the hook-legged Sushi Goroshi, followed by a V-trigger to the neck/head of Ospreay. Omega then gets Ospreay on his shoulders on the second rope for a one-winged angel attempt, but Ospreay slips out and delivers the cheeky Nando's, followed by a Sky Twister press, rolls Omega into the ring and hits the Super Oscutter. 1, 2, Omega kicks out. Ospreay then sets up for the Stormbreaker, but that gets turned into a Deadeye from Omega. Very nice here. And this is when Don Callis comes out. And we're getting the piece of shit chants from this crowd as we get 3 V-triggers from Omega, and Ospreay kicks out again. Omega is now psyching himself up. He's pumping himself up and sets up for another V-trigger. But Callis is wrapping his arms around Will, trying to protect him, and tries pulling Will out of the ring as the ref gets between them to try and drag Callis away. Callis reaches in his pocket and hands Will the screwdriver. That dreaded screwdriver.
He almost couldn't get out of his pocket at one point. I was nervous for him for a second. He was like, really? Oh, shit, it's stuck.
I hate things involving like objects in wrestling, like keys to open doors or stuff like that. It's always so stressful. Omega gets Ospreay up for the one-winged angel, but gets stabbed in the head with the screwdriver, followed by the hidden blade and the Stormbreaker. 1, 2, and Omega gets the foot on the ropes.
I remember this.
Fantastic near fall here.
Yeah, like not only did he hit you with the screwdriver, which looked nasty, the hidden blade, which is crazy, and that Stormbreaker, there was a lot of people in this arena thinking this was it. And the foot was on the rope.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Ospreay looks shook, so he grabs the wrists of Kenny and, in tribute of Kota Ibushi, hits a Kamigoye and the one-winged angel. Kenny kicks out and the place fucking erupts.
Yeah, honestly, best kick out ever, in my opinion.
I think so.
Watching this back, I get goosebumps and can remember the moment of how we all felt when this happened.
I got goosebumps watching this today.
Like you get the mana slapping of the thing. Like when you were there in this arena, we had a big row of all of us together, and nearby was some other friends, so we were all watching in unison. But time stood still for that second when Ospreay hit him with the one-winged angel. And he kicked out. Like the crowd, I wouldn't say was the craziest, loudest crowd I've been a part of. But when you watch this match back, the sound gets louder and louder and louder and build and you start to see people aren't sitting down halfway through. Everyone's standing halfway through. And the sound and the loudness just builds and builds. And when this moment happens, this place just goes crazy for this kick out. So yeah, best kick out on one. No one else should do. This is only reserved for Kenny Omega going forward. I know we've just seen him win back the AEW title and did a kick out on one against MJF, but this is fantastic. Like I can think back to many moments in wrestling matches I've been to, but I can easily think and close my eyes back to that one moment we all thought it was over, and it wasn't. Just really great.
Is Ospreay kicking out of the one-winged angel on one at Wembley?
100%. I've been beating that drum.
He's kicking out of it.
He's kicking out of it
on
one. Yeah, it would really add like the cherry on top of like he kicks out on one, because when Kenny did it to MJF, it cuts to Ospreay being like, oh damn, I know what that's like because he did it to me right here in this match. So yeah, this place goes crazy. I remember you see back, it cuts to people and they're like, one? He kicked out on one? It's just so great. Yeah, what a moment.
There's a forearm exchange and then a slap exchange, and Ospreay is just teeing off with these slaps, but walks into a V-trigger. He immediately delivers the hook kick. Omega comes back with the brainbuster. Kreutz Wrath, 1-2 kick out. V-trigger from Omega. One-winged angel attempt blocked. Stormbreaker attempt blocked. And then Ospreay comes in with a leaping hidden blade. Ooh. You think he's setting up for the Stormbreaker, but delivers Tiger Driver 91, dropping Omega on top of his fucking head.
Oh,
like I still scream today watching this.
Yeah.
He's done it safer since here, but this looked so nasty.
And this was where he first hit it, right? This is where he first brought this move out. And like, yeah, everyone in the crowd, we just screamed in like, in horror of what this guy just did. Wow. Insane spot.
Really should have been the finish.
Yeah, like, I think the one thing I have is like now going forward, what they did with this move, I think they would have changed the finish around and made it like the super finisher, right? Like Excalibur on commentary. mentions
Yeah,
the
sorry, the
green gear.
Danielson story, right? And all
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Like it's
I was
yeah.
gonna say he mentions Masawa in this because he hits
Right.
and he's wearing
Yes.
green also in this. But yeah, Tiger Driver 91. If the kick out on the One Winged Angel at 1 didn't make you lose your mind, this move definitely did. Like just screamed out like what? And Kenny kicks out. It's crazy.
It's disgusting. Ospreay then hits the Hidden Blade and the Stormbreaker and pins Kenny Omega in 39 minutes, 50 seconds in an absolutely incredible match.
Yeah, fantastic bit of work between these two. Like incredible chemistry. These guys can match each other so well, and like the chemistry, the trust of doing some of these insane spots that I couldn't even imagine even trying to come up with in their head, and let alone delivering and actually being able to do. But this is one of my favorite matches ever. Like, I guess the argument could be, do you like this one or the Tokyo Dome one more? But selfishly, we were here in person watching this, but watching them back to back today, they go hand in hand together. It's part of a story. But this one has the One Winged Angel kick out, the Tiger Driver, and the whole Canadian flag thing, which I think Kenny ends up giving to our pal Steven, the little kid in the front row.
Yes,
Steven's
that's right,
wrestling
yeah.
journey. Yeah, yeah. I just think this match has a little bit of everything in it that makes me love it just a little bit more. And yes, okay, I was there live, but watching them back today, I love both, but I think I still much prefer this one just because of that kick out, man. It's just so special. So fucking great.
I prefer this match. Like, both are great, but I think this is the better of the two matches. It's a bit more back and forth compared to the first one, which is a bit more one-sided. But what I love is they leave room for a chapter 3. You know, even with me like kind of moaning about the entrances, because it's great, because we should have part 3 is now kind of the roles they both should be in, which is two incredible baby faces against each other.
Yeah.
You know, we're not gonna this like it gets, you know, it has that North American thing about it of the Don Callis interference
The
and
flag.
the flag and the screwdriver and all that, which I can understand might put people off, but it leaves room to tell that final story where they've earned the respect of each other now. Kenny still isn't ready to necessarily hand that torch over, although he knows he's coming towards the end of his run. Ospreay is now ready to take that torch and be the guy, both kind of in their final forms in one of the biggest stadiums there is for wrestling. You know, it leaves room. They had the callbacks here. They're like the heads through the table spots, even some callbacks to their PWG stuff. And they've got so many. We mentioned like the kick out on 1 and the foot on the ropes. They've got so many little things that they can now carry forward to their Wembley match, which I hope they pay off on. And knowing these two, they absolutely will.
I just remember when these matches took place, and I have friends who might be like lapsed fans of wrestling who, like, you know, used to watch and always check in every now and then and will ask me like, oh, what's the deal with this AEW stuff? Like, it's so easy now to just send this match. Just watch this, bro. Trust me, watch this. My brother, I remember when this match happened. My one brother was actually at the event because a friend of his bought him tickets to Forbidden Door. And my brother was like, oh, we're going to WWE. And then the night of realized, oh, it's AEW. And to this day, my brother's like, I'll never watch a better match than that match that I randomly was there for, which was this. I showed this match to all these people who might be wrestling fans but don't know it yet. I go, just watch this and let me know what you think. And they're like, whoa, is wrestling always like this? Do you have more of this? So it is a great thing to have this on YouTube. If a match is so good, you got to be able to share it to the masses for free on YouTube. But yeah, one of the best, maybe the best AEW match to date. Like, it's up there. I think maybe the Danielson Ospreay one could be in the conversation. There's a few, but this one definitely comes to mind. It's just so good. Like I said, like Kenny Omega matches, Will Ospreay matches, they remind me of epic fight scenes in movies and action movies, and like the back and forth and the storytelling can be in the match themselves. And if Ospreay and Omega are considered two of the best of our generation, or maybe of all time, I am one of those people that say that, because watching these matches back in this story today, I'm like, fuck, they're just so good and leagues above a lot of other people. But yeah, this match made me get hyped. Watching the PWG match today got me hyped. All the stuff today was top tier, and I am so excited to see where we go with Wembley. Where would you rate this match?
I gave this 5 stars. As I said, this was my favorite match of this list
Yeah.
we went through today. I'm
6
hoping
stars.
Wembley can surpass it. But yeah, Meltzer went 6. So he went a quarter star below the
Okay.
New Japan one, and Cage Match 9.56, so a little bit below the Tokyo Dome. But I personally rank it higher, and I don't think that's biased from being there, because I do normally separate that, and like it's
Yeah.
I think it's the better of the 2 matches personally.
Yeah.
But both absolutely incredible. I'm so looking forward to Wembley. We will be doing a part 2 where we'll be talking all about kind of everything that comes out of this. There's the 6-man tag from Wrestle Dream, where Ospreay is still with the family. We have him leaving the Don Callis family, him signing with AEW. We have them teaming up at Forbidden Door in that 5-on-5 cage match. And then obviously all the promos and everything leading up to their one last fight at Wembley Stadium. And we will be posting that show in the coming weeks after All in Wembley.
Yeah. The whole story of Will Ospreay coming to AEW, there's lots of stuff there. The Fletcher feud, the stuff with Takeshita, Don Callis family, Kenny Omega and Ospreay teaming together. Was it Australia when they fought Fletcher and
Australia,
Takeshita,
yep.
right? They got together this year with the teasing of Ospreay chasing glory, Kenny trying to get back. They've done a lot of backstage segments. It's like LeBron and Mike hanging out backstage, like, hey, brother, one more ride, one more time. Ospreay and Omega gonna go down in history as the 2 best, and I've been loving the story leading into Wembley so much that when I got a little whiff that it could be potentially that match, I think a year ago I was like, hey, it's got to be this match. I would go to if it was this match, and as soon as a few months ago they were like, okay, it could possibly be this match, I told you I wasn't gonna buy a ticket. I wasn't gonna get a flight. I did. I had to, because I wanted to see if I was able to see this one more time. I got to be able to do it. So yeah, loved what we watched here today. Loved this story, this feud, this rivalry, and cannot wait to see where we go next with it. So yes, part 2 to come in the near future, but we got to make it to Wembley first. Appreciate it if you made it this far. Search POISONRANA Pod in your Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, podcast app. Give us a follow and check out all the other content that we have. We appreciate you listening and spending time with us, nerding out about our favorite professional wrestling. We do this quite often. POISONRANA.ca for links of everything else that we do here at our patreon.com/POISONRANA. We'll be back in a few weeks after Wembley with our part 2. For anyone going to All in Wembley, we will be hanging out at the Green Man Pub before the show on the Sunday. We'll also be hanging out with some friends at the Rev Pro show as well. DMs are always open, again, at POISONRANA Pod. But it was a lot of fun talking about some great wrestling.
A lot
of
of
great
fun.
graps. Appreciate everyone out there. We will talk to you very soon. But that is it. That is all. Take care. Goodbye. Be safe. And good night. Bang.
Ahoy!
Bruv.